Good morning, everybody. Let's try that again. Good morning, everybody. Starting a couple minutes early. Make sure that everything is working on my end. But we had a pretty interesting day yesterday, and I think today is going to be very cool for anyone that was wanting to know more about gameplay for the Star Citizen part. Give me just a second. I gotta gotta make sure that audio is coming through. That's always the thing I gotta check. Yeah. Mic check, mic check. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Mic check, mic check. 1, 2, 3. Okay. I think we're set. Cool. Oh. I'm so tired, guys. There's a lot of cool stuff going on, but man, this is a lot. So let's get the old link shared out to the Discord too. Not just Lance Vader. Good guy. Don't want to just bug him though. But let's get right into it. One of the other benefits of watching this a little bit later than everybody is we got this guy who has all the timestamps I could ever want. Bless his heart. That is perfect.
Everybody, welcome to the pre-show for day 2 of Citizencon. I'm your host, Jared Huckabee, and we're back. We're back here in the UES Barbary, otherwise known as Hall B, otherwise known as Manchester Central, otherwise known, and this is where you're all going to cheer, as Citizencon!
Woo!
Honestly, people ask what the better parts of my job is, and being able to just do some call and response with the crowd is probably it. Watch, I'm going to do it again. At Citizencon! That's really quite cool. We are here in the general lounge of the UES Barbary, where I'm going to be sitting for most of today, because if you watched day 1, I made an ill-fated decision during the pre-show yesterday to attempt physical movement of any kind.
Oh no, I thought he was kidding when he talked about injuring himself, but I guess he really hurt himself.
Of any kind past the age of 40, don't. But if you have to do physical movement at any point after the age of 40, my recommendation is to stretch at least once in 14 years. So yeah, we're here on day 2.
All he did was a short little run across the audience, but really took him out, didn't it?
Tech tools that allow us
Sorry,
to build
Jared, that
planets
sucks.
like the newly revealed Castor Sherman. We checked in with the organization presentation. I know it's a social and universe, and it had all kinds of stuff, the party chat and all that stuff. But really, for me, like, I was there in 2014 when I met Benoit for the first time when he did the very first organization and presentation. And for the last 10 years, every other time I see that man, I'm like, when, Benoit? When's our time? When are the orgs coming to the game? And to know that they're finally finally in active development on their way to the persistent universe is one of the more exciting things about Star Citizen for me. It's just, you know,
Not the flashiest
we're all in
presentation,
these
but
orgs, everybody's in
easily
an org. There's med runners
biggest
over there.
impact
There's
to how we play.
ADI over there and stuff like this. But that's outside the game. To finally get these orgs inside the game is a major, major milestone that I've waited for so long. And yeah, it's not happening today or tomorrow, but it is in active development. We'll have more.
I am of the opinion that if it is not in the game, it basically does not exist. We have so many great tools made by community members like Urkel.games and UEX Corp, but all of those for a new player, they don't exist because you have to do so much research to actually find out about them. And the average player doesn't want to do that. We are kind of unique as Star Citizen players. We love to min max and figure this stuff out, but most people, they just want the game to tell them how to do all this stuff. So getting it into the game is really important. We go. Just locked out my back support so I don't lean back so far.
More updates on that when we do our other shows, the ISC and the SEL, over the remainder of this year and well into next year. Then we had that cosplay contest. Who actually won? Who won the cosplay contest? It was that giant Pico, right? I forgot to check.
There was a lot of categories,
but I hope it was the giant Pico that won. But of course, Ken Shadow, last year's winner, was back and everything. I haven't seen Ken Shadow. Ken Shadow, are you in the building? Ken Shadow, if you're in the building, come find me in the general lounge. And then, what was it? Dress to Kill, finally making good at all those armor specializations. No, don't take my water. I need my water. You just don't. Bring back my water. I don't mind if it's
all right, let's skip ahead.
It's my water. He took my water away. But the return of the Val.
Ladies and gentlemen,
this is what we want.
Welcome to the stage, master of the self-performed introduction, and Mama Huckabee's second favorite son, Jared Huckabee!
No, don't run, Jared, don't run!
Citizencon! It's day 2! We liked it so much the first time, we're gonna do it again! Now, as the last guy during the pre-show said, day 1 was focused on the universe that we're creating. Day 2 is all about the destiny that you forge. Now, a little history lesson here. Back in 2015, the persistent universe was first launched. I think it was November or December or whatnot. Everybody remember Port Olisar?
Oh yeah, everybody remembers Port Olisar.
That one Big Benny's machine that somehow you could move it? And the Big Benny's challenge of spending hours and hours of just doing this?
Which we can't do the roll anymore. I actually really like the roll, and now it's gone.
Downstairs, back into the hab. Shout out to Bad News Baron if you're watching. No, those were the days. Now, since that time, the persistent universe has grown. It's expanded. 3.0 arrived, and it had a whole bunch of new planets and moons and stuff like this. We've got Microtech, we've got Hurston, we've got Area 18, and what's the last one? We got Lorville. If you live with the developers, they still call them Stanton 1, Stanton 2, Stanton 3, so it's hard getting the two realities to reconcile in your head. But since this time,
very true.
You've all been visitors.
I mean, I experienced that just a little bit on my homework. I've got variable names that I think of, and then I have to like go and recontextualize them to the problem that I was actually working on.
Trivia from yesterday. But this entire time, you've been visitors. Starting next year, you stake a claim in the persistent universe.
Base building, land claims.
Starting next year, the persistent universe truly becomes yours.
Welcome back, Voodoo. Good to see you.
And we have got a handful of gentlemen to tell you how they're going to do it, how you're going to do it, and how amazing it's all going to be. So please welcome to the stage Design Director for Star Citizen and Squadron 42, one of my dear friends, one of my DMs. Hey, when are we playing again? That's not a good look. All right, please welcome to the stage Design Director Rick Porter.
Thank you.
I wish I had an intro like this. That'd be pretty cool.
Thank you, Jared.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm relying on this guy's timestamps. Thank the stars for I'm gonna go with Fawkes. That's how I'm gonna say it. That's said, but he's got all the timestamps for us, and just kind of looking at the titles, there's a lot. I have to like steel myself to not read too much into it.
It is an honor to be here. Yesterday, we presented the first that we're creating for you. We shared new tech, locations, creatures, giant worm, social features, things we're doing with orgs. We even played the first chapter of Squadron 42 live. How great was that?
Really cool.
Yeah?
Warts and all, really cool.
Glitches, but nothing we can't sort out. So today, we got something just as exciting to talk about. But instead of focusing on what we're creating for you, we want to show you the world that you can build. With crafting, we're going to give you the tools to create your own loot, to build your own home. Crafting will fundamentally change not only how you play the game, but why you play the game. So, what is crafting? Why does it matter? Why should you be as excited as I am about this? Well, first off, crafting is a profession. It requires its own set of tools, the knowledge of how to use them. Crafting offers progression. You become a better crafter by learning new blueprints and upgrading them. Crafting builds on the existing gathering professions.
Upgrading blueprints could be pretty interesting.
When you would go out and you collect your materials for crafting, we are adding new depth and meaning to those activities. Crafting provides customization. There isn't just one way to craft something. Like I said, we have upgrades. How you make and upgrade the things you craft is sometimes just as important as what you're crafting. In addition, you can earn cosmetic upgrades, craft unique items.
I love Mike. And he's got such a passion for the game. I think that anything that makes Salty Mike happy is pretty good for all of us. And not that this would top the spectacle of Squadron 42 today, but you'll get a nice surprise by the end. All right. Yeah, I mean, you got Captain Foxy Loxy. He's already pumping out videos. That dude is a machine. And I know we talked about the Star Lancer today.
Even subscriber flare?
I saw some thumbnails about it.
But nowhere is this versatility more obvious than base building.
I don't know how that guy gets so many videos out. He is unreal.
How you construct your home, how to customize your base to meet your own goals.
I'm becoming convinced he doesn't sleep.
Most importantly, crafting gives you
great guy, though.
New choices. The choices will impact your goals in the game, your interactions with other players, and eventually how you see the game itself. So where do we get started with crafting? Well, you can't craft without materials.
Look at that, cow tongue. We can make burritos.
We've got a lot of ways to gather resources in the game. And crafting is designed to complement and expand on all of these existing gathering professions, as well as future additions.
These look like the kind of mining things that we saw last year.
As an example. We've got hand mining and vehicle mining and ship mining. That's a lot of mining. But with crafting, we're going to introduce a lot of materials. So there's not just more to mine, but we're also going to specialize. So for instance, each type of mining will have its own unique materials to gather. Gathering specific materials efficiently will require you to use the right gathering profession. Let's talk about refining. Currently, only
how is that different than what we have already, though? Because like you can't mine laranite
processed resources
in a ship.
With crafting, we're going to expand refining to include options for all raw materials. In addition to expanding the variety of materials you can gather, refining lets you create process materials that you're going to need to craft your upgraded blueprints. So now that you've gathered all these materials, what do you do with them? Currently, your only options in the game really are to sell them to a shop or maybe complete a contract. Adding crafting into the game radically changes your options. You can still mine, refine, and sell your resources, but now you have the option to make valuable and unique items. Weapons, armor, even vehicles and ships.
Maybe I will finally lose out on the fear of losing my Artemex sets. I'll just be able to craft them.
And by valuable, I mean that the crafted
I'll just
gear
have a
that you
warehouse
create has the
full of
potential to be
Artemex
better than
gear.
anything you can buy in a shop.
Yes! Let's hear that again.
And by valuable, I mean that the crafted gear that you create has the potential to be better than anything you can buy in a shop.
Yes, that is what we need for crafting. It needs to have a real reason to do it. Make it better than what you can just buy in the stores.
Think much bigger. Crafting enables you to build your own home among the stars.
Yeah.
You choose to make a farm, a hunting lodge, an industrial complex, your own trading hub, a military outpost, even a sprawling town with your friends and org mates.
So excited for that. That is going to be so much fun.
Got a lot here, but it's all optional. You can choose to focus on gathering resources and sell them to crafters that need them. You can skip gathering and refining and just focus on being the best crafter you can be. Or you can leave all that gathering and crafting nonsense to other people and just focus on trade and make some money. But that brings me to my last point. Player choice matters.
Yeah, I mean, imagine that you're the only one in your area that has grinded out the reputation or whatever is required to get a specific blueprint.
The crafted goods you can all make. The game will still have its own shops and economy.
People would be coming to you to get it.
Now you'll have more options about where you invest and how you prosper. Now, I've given you a nice overview of what we're working on here.
Inbuilt competition built into this.
And we have a lot more planned for the future. But now that you're familiar with the big picture, I want to introduce some of my fellow developers to come up on stage. They've got exciting details to share with you about the specifics of our new crafting systems, important gameplay improvements, and most exciting, I think anyway, an update to base building.
All right. I hope we see a lot of video and a lot of gameplay-esque presentation here because we saw this last year. Hopefully there's a lot of progress to show.
Thank you, Rick. And hello, Citizencon.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Jacob, Senior Gameplay Programmer on crafting.
I'm Jacob, too.
Rick has showed us how crafting will link into a lot of existing
I've never met a Jake that I didn't like.
But I think it's time we get into some of the details. I'm going to tell you about the new game mechanics we're introducing, starting with blueprints.
That looks pretty neat. Kind of looks like a server, right? I like this. I am such a sucker for visuals. I am easily won over with pretty art.
Before you can craft anything, you'll need a
I have
blueprint.
to chastise myself a lot when it comes to Star Citizen because it's like,
recipe
it might look pretty, but what does it do? What does it
do
do, our job?
Refining. You can acquire blueprints through various activities. Some you can buy, some
it looks
you
like
can
the
find,
Volt pistol
and some
on the
can be
screen.
unlocked or earned in other ways.
And they
You can
mentioned
also upgrade
crafting
your
the Volt
blueprints through
rifle
research.
yesterday, so
We'll go into more detail about what this means a bit later. So, blueprints are the recipe, and Rick already told us the materials you gather and refine will be the ingredients. But there's a bit more to it than that. We have a new concept for materials.
maybe they'll take the suggestion I made in a previous video about Volt weapons only being
adding to all
craftable.
resources you can gather, that's an abstract measurement of how good it is at being
or only being
whatever it
able
is.
to be acquired
You can
through
think
one
of this
means,
as the
I think
purity
is
of
what
a
I talked
metal,
about.
or the ripeness of a fruit, or something along those lines. This quality will be carried forward from raw resources through the refining process to influence what that batch of materials is best used for in crafting. High quality is more...
By the way, gentlemen, when you're doing your monthly checks, large abnormalities like this, you should get checked out by a doctor. This is okay. This is better. But it should be more of this shape.
desirable overall, but is more rare.
Stay in good health.
And there are still important uses for low-quality materials. More on that later. All raw materials you find
don't
in
mess
the
with
burst
cancer.
will have a quality rating.
Be proactive.
It's generated based on some rules. The same kind of rules you heard about from the Planet Tech team yesterday. You'll find the same material in many places, but with varying qualities, so you might want to explore to find the best. Some materials that are already rare will be even more valuable if you can find them with high quality. But what's quality for? It's for item stats.
Yeah.
Alongside quality, we're introducing a new item stat system to the game.
All right, let's take a look at what we got. We got integrity, wear resistance, misfire chance reduction, fire rate, bullet velocity, effective range, heat per shot, cooldown rate, and weight. Okay. So there's not a direct damage, but you know, if you're increasing the fire rate slightly, that will have an impact on your DPS. And I mean, they could really just go to the moon with how many stats are modifiable, right? This looks to be made out of some aluminum, copper, hadnite, and plastic. So, I mean, plastic, look at the grip, right? Same bluish color. Copper wiring, hadnite. It's a crystal. Could be some kind of oscillator, or maybe you're making a lens out of it. Aluminum, pretty self-explanatory. It's made out of metal, and it's not a ballistic weapon, so you don't really need the properties of steel. Aluminum is just fine.
This will allow relevant properties of craftable items to be affected by the quality of materials.
Yeah, they talked about how armor yesterday will be
just a single quality
pretty impactful for how
to provide variation.
How you move and the kinds of things that you can do with the heavy armor sets.
System to provide both progression and customization options. We aim to have meaningful item stats for
I
all
should have waited
craftable
just a
items,
little bit. They showed the stats a little bigger.
The damage and fire rate of a gun, the wear resistance of a ship component, or even the satiation provided by eating a hot dog.
I make the best hot dogs this side of the verse. It's all about getting that even rotation. You don't want to let it sit on one side too long. You want to get that nice even char.
Such that higher quality results in better stats.
That's funny.
Most items require multiple different materials to make, which may each influence different stats. And in many cases, you'll have a choice of materials to use, which lets you decide which stats to focus on to tailor your items to your playstyle. Here we see I'm making a gun with high-quality aluminium, giving me a nice bonus to integrity and weight. But someone sold me low-quality copper, so I don't get as much fire rate bonus as I could have.
Shame on them.
To go even further, researching your fabrication blueprints allows you to build higher tiers of an item with improved base stats.
And I think integrity is basically durability, right?
That was made with materials of the same quality. Making high-tier items requires more advanced materials, but is also
you got a sister that plays Star Citizen?
as to which stats to improve.
That's cool. I would love it
This
if
means
my
that your
if
high-tier
my
items
siblings
can
would
not
get
only be
involved.
better overall,
I'm
but also
the
more
only nerd
specialized
in my
the areas
family.
that are important to you. Most items will have tiers 1 to 3, with tier 1 being the most basic version of the item, and tier 3 being a highly advanced version made with appropriately impressive materials.
So far.
But you can also craft vehicles.
I'm sure eventually they'll probably add like super duper platinum tier 4.
And
Your whole
vehicles are so
family plays
important
Star Citizen?
they will go
That's
up to
sweet,
tier
man.
5, providing
You
a
got
way
you got
for
a
you to really invest
whole
in
squad of
making
people
your
to play
favorite
with.
vehicles excel. Of course,
That is
many
really
of you have
cool.
already bought your favorite vehicles.
Get them
so you
online.
don't
Get them
really need to make
watching
them
my
from scratch,
stream.
right? Or maybe you've pirated,
Tell them, hey, this guy's
salvaged, or
pretty funny.
otherwise
He's got a nice
commandeered
face.
Not to worry. You can still benefit from crafting by using an upgrade blueprint to
Yeah,
increase
craft
the
vehicles
tier
up
of an
to
existing
tier
vehicle,
5.
including.
But presumably this is a different tier than what we just saw, right? Because that tier was quality. This would be kind of size.
Stat improvements and customization. Upgrading a vehicle can save a lot of time over crafting it from scratch, so it's a convenient way for established vehicle owners to bring the benefits of item stats to their fleet. Let's take
You're not
a look
just
in-game
stuck
at
with
the
poor
difference
stats
it makes
forever,
to have
basically.
high-tier equipment made from high-quality materials. See how the recoil is reduced on our high-tier gun.
Oh, nice. Yeah, look at that horizontal spread.
The spooling is faster on a high-tier quantum drive.
Oh. They're saying all the right things, guys. This is great.
And a high-tier scraper beam is much more effective.
Mike would be pretty happy with that. That might be what people were hinting at. Mike does a lot of the salvage.
Crafting's key game mechanics. I'll now hand over to Torsten to walk you through the full crafting process. Thank you, and have a good day.
Super cool.
Thank you, Jacob. Hi, I'm Torsten, lead
You're
system
welcome.
designer of the CGP system.
We see
design
Torsten
team.
a lot in our Inside Star Citizen videos.
We now saw all elements of crafting looked at individually. Let's bring them in order how you, as the player, will experience the crafting profession. You will start with acquiring the correct blueprints as the first step in the crafting process. As Jacob already mentioned, blueprints can be acquired in multiple ways. Let me give you some examples here. You can purchase commonly available blueprints, earn them from reputation and mission rewards, or even find them in loot crates. All content in our game could reward you with a blueprint. Some blueprints will be challenging.
So whatever
to
you're
find,
doing,
so
you might find a
players
blueprint.
working together may find them easier to acquire. While you may find a blueprint on a datapad or other portable device, the blueprint itself is not a physical item.
Do you see
You
this
don't collect
unlocked
them
per
in a
character and
box
added to
or
your
stack them on a
library?
bookshelf. Blueprints
So
are
you
digital.
can't lose it.
Once you claim one, it is permanently added to your personal library. This library.
So I mean, this gives a in a
This
world where
library
we're
is
going to start
consistent to
losing
your
stuff more
character,
often.
and every
This gives you a
blueprint
way
claim is
to
yours forever.
kind of have a checkpoint, like I talked about in a previous video.
They cannot be stolen or traded once claimed. But it does not just end with acquiring blueprints. Those tiers of quality that Jacob mentioned are unlocked through blueprint research. Research requires a research data bank which can upgrade your blueprints.
I mean, would you
Upgrading
ever
here means
find
that you
tier 2 and
unlock a
3
blueprint
blueprints,
that
or are you
allows
always
to
going to
create
find
a
tier
better,
1 and then you have to do the
higher tier version
research?
of the same item using
I would
more
think you
advanced
probably do not
materials.
find tier 3s.
Note, you will still
but
have
maybe
access
finding
to the
a
lower tier versions
tier
if you want
1.
to craft the cheaper version. In order to upgrade a blueprint,
and a tier 2,
you may need to perform certain actions.
Tier 2 might be a like super duper special event.
Pistols and have one with a higher fire rate. Other examples would be collect resources, complete missions, or acquire research data.
So it shows you clear objectives about what you need to do.
Research
I like that.
is time intensive, in addition to the action requirements. It will take time
crafting 100 bolt pistols
to process your research data and unlock the upgrade. You are also limited in how many research projects you can pursue at once. Now that you have your blueprint and you decided what to craft, you also know what resources to look for. Every blueprint you find will have unique requirements in their resource needs. It will not just be
I think that based on how they're explaining it right now, tier 2 and up are probably all research.
In the crafting process.
But having multiple tiers means that you might allow players to find a tier 2 as like a,
as already mentioned,
I don't know, maybe like a in-game raid reward.
If you want to have the perfect item, you also need the best quality. Here, the best way to find the best resources is to get out and explore the world. If you want to find the
exploration gameplay, a lot of people are going to be happy with that.
A top quality radar. Once you collected the raw materials, the next step is refining them.
Radar ties it into scanning.
Like crafting requires blueprints.
Scanning suddenly has a reason for existing.
Take primary, secondary, and catalyst materials and produce refined materials. The rule is very simple. The quality of the primary raw material defines the quality of the refined material. The secondary material you put in has an impact on the quantity and the time the refining process will take. An optional catalyst can speed up the process further.
Okay,
let me give you a
so
simple example.
You really need to focus on getting high quality primary
steel,
stuff.
You need to put in the best iron you have in the primary slot.
If time isn't that important to you, then just having secondary
coal in the secondary slot
doesn't really matter.
The quality of the steel. But the quality of the coal will influence how much of it you need to produce steel. As an example, if you put in low quality coal, you might require 4 SCU of coal versus high quality coal that only requires 2 SCU. This is one of the important use cases for low quality materials that Jacob mentioned. You can use refining stations in the world as they will be converted to this new process. You can build your own refineries for yourself, you can get your org to help you out, or you can simply trade for the materials that you need on the open market. Now we are reaching the final step. You got the blueprints, you gathered resources and refined materials. Now you can create the item you want. And this item can be anything. You will be able to craft anything from FPS equipment to vehicle components, even entire vehicles and buildings.
I have a feeling that higher quality resources will predominantly be restricted to low security systems. I mean, that would make sense, right? It goes along with what we've always been told. High sec, but low reward. High risk, high reward.
That differ in what process they can support, like a refinery or a dedicated vehicle crafting machine. You will also find them in various places. There will be communal ones like the station refineries you already know, player-owned that can be in your personal hangar, a vehicle, or your base.
I mean, this looks to be the crafter that makes an Omnis guy for you. But what does the crafter look like that makes a ship? Because you're not popping a C1 out of that.
You will not only progress in the products you produce, but also in the infrastructure to produce your wares. Just to give you an idea what you will encounter, here are some examples of the crafting
different size crafting machines.
There is the nutrition fabricator, the chemical fabricator, an item fabricator, and even fabricators of a much larger scale we will talk about later.
Fabrication hangar. I see those keywords there, man. That looks pretty cool. This looks like a big I would assume that this moves across the strut here, And then you have this guy that kind of moves horizontally. It looks like a massive 3D printer, basically. They have this on the screen, so presumably it has some relative function. Otherwise, why would you show it? Some storage tanks.
Talking about scale, I would like to talk about the future of crafting and the scale it will have in the game that you all know, and how it will change the game moving forward. As you all know, we have a lot of items in the game, and they all require their own unique blueprints. That means our aim is to have more than 1,000 blueprints that include the creation and the refining blueprints.
This is a lot
and
of
each of those can be researched to unlock tier upgrades.
There's a lot of reworking to
or tier 5.
get everything to have a blueprint.
That's a lot of
think about a game like Minecraft. Like everything was built from the ground up to be crafted from available resources.
Recommend that you, as the crafter you are, focus on a specific
now they have to
like
go through and think, what recipe makes sense for this?
Coordinate with your friends and fellow
How do we
players.
balance this in our massive
group,
game?
We invite you to share
This is quite the
responsibilities
challenge
with your
they've given themselves.
Maybe you will be the FPS crafter while your friend
Look at that gold
is
gun.
a ship crafter, but they know a ship component crafter specialist. There's a lot of content, and it will continue to grow over time.
Gold gun prestige confirmed.
A specialist, or something in between. Pick the blueprints you care about and be the best. Have an exotic shield generator that no one else has the blueprint for but you. Help others and earn credits while doing so.
Like, imagine going and being an ambassador to a local Xi'an outreach group, and you're able to make their tech.
As you can tell, crafting will have a huge impact on everything in the game. Even if you do not want to get actively involved, at some point you will stumble over a weapon that got crafted by someone else, and you will be using it. People will start selling their crafting goods or the refined materials or even the raw materials for the sole purpose of fulfilling the demands created by crafting.
No, that's a pyro
Players
station.
like
This is
can become well-known specialists that are sought out to get certain things crafted from. With the ever-expanding game we all love, we will continuously expand our crafting to offer you long-term progression that involves the entirety of our game. And you might have guessed it already, but there's one more thing that crafting is the foundation of. And
stations.
Base building.
Oh, base building. Duh.
I will now hand over to Luke. Enjoy the second part of this presentation. Thank you very much.
Not a ton of video so far, which makes me kind of nervous. How early days are we?
Good morning,
I mean, I know
citizens.
video doesn't strictly indicate progression, but it seems to be tied.
Who is excited to start talking about this next topic?
Hell yeah.
Let's get into it. My name is Luke Gijsbertse. I'm the lead environment artist on
think
base building structures.
Chris comes up to Luke and says,
now that we have an understanding of the fundamentals of crafting, thanks to Jacob and Thorsten, we can explore how crafting is the foundation of base building. Up until now, everything in the game we made for you. From here on,
and now we
will
get to
give
make
you
the game
tools
ourselves.
to build your own stories, your own homes, and truly make the universe yours. Join me on a journey on building our own habitable
maybe not at the
home
start, but when you
Pyro.
think about like 5 years down the road, everybody's got a lot of the
is work in progress, including
recipes, blueprints that they start with. They're going to want to add more stuff, so maybe adding alien prints and blueprints would be a way to go.
We found a beautiful location by a lake. This is where we build ourselves a home. To do so, we need some resources and the construction graph card. The construction graph card allows us to survey the land, claim the land in a lawful system, and it allows us to build structures. As we've already found the location and don't need to claim land in lawless Pyro, we can straight dive into building our base. Keep in mind, the following UI is work in progress.
Here's my video. I was just gonna say that. They heard me.
A survey drone that deploys from the top of the card gives us a controllable augmented view of the land. In the new structure mode, we'll pick a small basic structure and hit construct. For this,
you know what I think I'm really happy about in this video that we're watching? Star Citizen often goes so far to make things diegetic, but I think sometimes you just need some simple gameplay. So I like how right now we're not seeing, this is like the drone perspective. This is just we got a nice view of things for you. This is a very, very standard overlook type perspective.
This demo, the construction will be instantaneous, but in the final product, this will take you quite some time. We've done it. We've built our first structure. Let's have a look on the inside. As we walk into the small basic structure, we see an empty interior that is dimly lit. It's up to us to define what we will use this space for. In our case,
and
we will
I would
make
assume
it
that
into
this is a small structure,
that the lights are still
right?
off, and that
because
is
last year
no
we were
lights
sold
means no
on the
atmosphere,
Galaxy
no
being able to do
atmosphere.
large
So it's
structures,
not
the
ideal to
Pioneer
live in.
being needed
So how do we
for
solve this issue?
stuff larger than
We
that.
can improve this by providing the building with power. Let's see if we can build something that helps us out. But before we dive into more building, let's take a quick moment to enjoy the freedom that the survey drone provides us with and admire the aesthetics of our first
and maybe
structure.
that's something that the cart impacts.
And
like
I
if you're
wonder
just
what
using a
Declan was
cart,
up
maybe
doing
it
there.
takes literal years to make
Keep in
a
mind that this
skyscraper,
building is still
but if
work
you
in
have a
progress.
Pioneer,
But what
you
you're
can
seeing right now has
build
been
it
recorded
much
directly
faster.
in the client and works seamlessly between first person and the building mode. Okay, enough. Back to base building. In the list of new structures, we see a small fuel generator. That is something that could solve our problem, I think. Power providing structures need to be hooked up to other buildings inside construction ER mode, but we'll explain this later. The fuel generator is one of several structures that provides power, each with their own benefit and drawbacks. Fuel power is quick and easy to build.
I've been playing a
but
bit
it
of
requires a
Satisfactory
constant supply
lately,
of fuel besides
and
its regular
it's kind of
maintenance.
interesting. It looks
If
like there's a
structure is
little
not
bit of a
maintained,
color
it will
overlap.
halt its activity. Players will need to maintain fuses to keep the building operational. The better crafted fuse, the longer it lasts. This
But
is where the fuse
this
goes
feels
on
like,
this building.
This feels like
Next up, we
Satisfactory's
have a
big
terminal
brother
that gives us access
from the
to
aesthetic
status
perspective.
of our building. And, more importantly, we get to activate it here.
That's cool. I'm a sucker
That
for
should
the
do it.
visuals.
Let's see if we got power in the building now. As you notice, some of the crates in the background have disappeared, as their content has been consumed during the construction process of the buildings. And it looks like Declan is now hooking up the power to the building. I wonder what he was up to earlier, though.
He put stuff in it.
Wow, Declan has been busy decorating the place. As we can see, the lights are now
Declan
properly
decorates.
working. We got atmosphere, and we can start to use the item fabricator now that there is power. Always handy in case we need a fuse. Let's have a quick look at what we've done so far. We've decorated the place. We made it our own little home. we hooked it up with power.
See all the garbage that Declan put on the floor? There's just like a pile of junk there.
But I think it's just enough to call it a home. Thank you. Now that we have a rough understanding of how base building works, let's dive into some of the specifics of what we just saw.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what they do with fuses, because like right now it's
used for base building. The craft card is a mobile device that lets you construct a variety of small structures.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm such a fan of fuses
to fit
the way that
into
I've seen them so far.
Like the Drake cutter.
In an actual electrical system, you can't just swap the fuse every time. You need to figure out why the fuse blew.
Stanton, and most importantly, it lets us build structures. To use the graph card, we will first need to deploy it.
Maybe if you have damaged components,
we see two small construction domes
like
inside the
your
card.
Power plant's offline,
and the interactive
or
screen gets revealed
it's
to us.
damaged in some way, and that it's sending too much power through a line. If you don't fix the power plant, then changing the fuse doesn't do anything because it'll
gives
just
us
blow
a
again.
bird-eye view of the surrounding area using augmented reality mode, ER mode for short.
Fuses in real life are more of a symptom of a problem
augmented reality
than an
mode
actual
will
problem.
look like. Here's a concept of construction ER.
Okay, did I miss something, Voodoo? Did they say something about recoil? Oh, it's because they showed the crafted weapon having reduced recoil. Look, we were talking about Castra, all right? They have these big turrets, these big orbital cannons, and I think that's what you were talking about at the time. Saying, what about recoil if they're pointed straight up? And all I'm saying is, in a game world, you can do whatever you want. You can ignore recoil if you so wish, because you have that power as the developer. If it needs to be, there's no recoil on a battle turret on Castra, then there's no recoil. But if you need to differentiate a crafted item from a non-crafted item, now you have recoil.
From here,
I know you're just pulling my leg, but I still stand by the lore is whatever you need it to be, man.
A nature reserve, construction will be prohibited.
I guess that's true. Yes. In this case,
on.
my point is I don't see the value of fuses
and if so, what are
in the way that they've been explained so far. I'm not a fan of them just being swap the fuse and you're good. I would like them to be more a symptom of other problems. So you do your other repairs, then put in a new fuse.
We're now in structure creation mode.
In this case, I want to add that depth to the gameplay. I don't like fuses being as shallow as they are.
Structure, you'll drag
but
it
fair enough,
the terrain,
you did get me.
That will be shown then as a physicalized hologram. From here, you can move and rotate to find the perfect position for your structure. Now that we have chosen a position for our structure, we will need to supply it with crafting materials. Just like the crafting interface that we saw earlier.
It's whatever the lore says it is. Yeah, it can be simple. Sometimes it'll be complex.
But will result in a better structure. Once you're ready, we'll hit the craft button on the right bottom to send the construction drones printing to the buildings. The automated construction drones will take off from the construction graph card and fly to nearby resources to fill their internal storage and then fly over to the construction site to print the building until their internal storage has been depleted. The construction drone then repeats the loop by filling its internal storage again by nearby resources. Printing buildings will take some time.
I don't want to get too distracted on the fuses thing, but
so that you don't
I don't think that it would really add that much development.
Let's say
if you just made a if-then statement where if your power plant is still damaged, fuse still blows.
All structures will have a unpowered
You know, like,
and a
you
powered
have both
state
in the game,
that we can manage
so it's
inside
just more
the
like an
resource
order of
manager.
operations. You can't just change the fuse. Do your other repairs first.
To provide structures with power, we can easily link
and then change the
generators to
fuse.
structures that need power in the resource management menu within Construction ER. We can also link multiple buildings together. And we can assess the power consumption and shortage of inside this resource management screen. Keep in mind that operational structures, like power generators, require maintenance of their fuses.
I do like
and
how there's
sometimes
no
need to be
mess of power lines going between these different buildings.
And going out to be managed.
That's one of the things that you end up with in Satisfactory, because you have power pole. It can only supply power to 3 items, and then you need to connect it to another
Structures
pole.
can be upgraded from tier 1 till tier 3. The better material you provide, the better the improvement will be. Just like Jacob and Thorsten explained in the crafting
Great minds,
presentation.
Norak.
Tier upgrades can, for example, improve the structural integrity of the building, or make its resource consumption more efficient. To really make your base feel like home,
Integrity of a
you
building.
want to decorate your base with a wide variety of furniture pieces that can be bought,
If you build
crafted,
on
and
Microtech, which
found
is a pretty
in the universe.
hospitable planet, does
It's
that
up
mean
to
that
you
your
to define what you want
building
this space to be.
loses
Do you
its
want to
health
decorate it as a
slower?
hospital? Do you want to make it into a workshop?
And does
Do you want to make it into
a higher
luxurious
integrity
bedroom?
building take
It's up to
more
you.
damage from incoming
Furniture can
ships,
easily
like in
be
Pyro,
placed
like if
and
someone's
moved
attacking you?
using decorative ER mode as an hologram. This is so your furniture can easily fit through doors. This feature is accessible through nearby construction devices, allowing you to place down furniture pieces or even
They
crafting
keep running into
machines
that door issue, so now they're
otherwise
just
wouldn't fit
jumping
through the
past it.
door.
We don't want to
And you get
fit
to place
things
them
through doors
directly
anymore.
from your local inventory. The less trusted among you, or anyone settling in Pyro for that matter, may want to mag-lock their furniture into place, so that only you and your friends get to rearrange your decorations. And, best of all, decorative ER is not exclusive to base building, and can also be used for personal
Oh,
hangers and
yes.
ships.
Yes, personal hangers, your ships.
To recap, what are the essentials
Anyone
for
remember
any
that
base? 1. Come
tractor
prepared,
beam video I
bring
did a
the right
while ago?
resources and a construction device with you.
This is that AR view is basically that, being able to move things relative to your cargo volume. So if you can do that inside a ship with your cargo, that's going to make tractor beams a lot less clunky to use, I think.
2. Use the resource manager, power generators, to make your base habitable and functional, and maintain your base with resources and by replacing out worn fuses. And 3. Personalize your base, personal hangar and ship with decorative ER. And there we have it, our home in Pyro. Now that we have an understanding of the basics of base building, we'll explore how you can go and make more than just a home. But before
You see that? See all that rust? This base needs to be maintained, perhaps.
Make more than just a home. But
maybe as you're flying over, you can
Declan,
see rust
the designer
patterns as an
behind base
indicator of
building,
how
I'd
much
like
you
to
can
say a
steal
quick
from
thank
it.
you for those who made this
The more
presentation
rusty it
possible.
is, the less
So a
the
quick thank you
systems
to
are
Eddie,
going to protect it.
Brandon, Jack, Dan, Mark, Xiao, Stefan C, Dom,
You know,
Stefan
like,
T,
if
Carl,
it's super
Joel,
rusty,
and Rob
maybe their
for your
mag locks
efforts
aren't
and
active.
dedication. Now give me a warm welcome for Declan.
Nice one, James. All right. Thank you, Luke. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning. My name is Deck. I am the system designer behind crafting
This
and base
is,
building, and we've just
we
seen
have
a nice
Tom
little base,
Holland at
right?
home.
That's good for cabin in the woods. Maybe you want to place it down next to big redwoods. Go and explore. or a place to stash some loot you perhaps shouldn't have. But, do you want to see a big base?
Yeah, I want to see a big base.
Good, because we're going to industrialize.
I'm all about that base,
So we're going to set ourselves a goal before we do a video, and we're going to create a base that's capable of crafting something that's bigger than the item fabricator can handle.
Like a
it's been
ship?
a bit of a spoiler already as to what it's going to be. So to kick us off, called in the help of a friend who has a specialized, not yet revealed base building vehicle, and he's built us this. It is the construction hub. This has 4
not yet
automated drones
revealed
compared to the ground
construction vehicle.
They can build small, medium, and large buildings. So far, we've only seen small.
Okay,
Automated
that
drones
answers my
capable of
question
building
from
one
before.
structure each simultaneously, so 4 is quite a big advantage.
We get to make our own elevators. We love elevators so much in Star Citizen. Imagine how happy you'll feel when you can have elevators galore on your base.
And we'll get down a generator, we'll connect some buildings together, just so we have a place to call home before we begin.
Okay, so now he's doing this from the building itself, right? So this is a building that builds buildings.
Brand new underground resource deposits, and we're about
We
to
haven't
exploit it
seen
using
this before.
It is our extractors. This particular one is a large solid extractor. We'll also have liquid and gas depending on which type of deposit that you've settled on.
I like that.
We have our output grid here where we're getting all the brand new resources up out the ground. And it is important to note that once these things are set up, it's not a case of just free resources forever. On key structures like this, there are fuses which will occasionally need replaced, as well as environmental wear which can be fixed using crafting materials.
Just swap the fuses. Who needs a security system when you have player crafted elevators? No one's gonna survive to steal stuff from you. Just put all of your stuff not on the ground floor, and it's safe forever.
Alright, now we want to turn those raw resources into more valuable refined materials. We saw the process talked about earlier with Thorsten. Of course we want this, it is our refinery. Once again there are multiple types here. This one is the large solid matter refinery. We have liquid and gas again, as well as biological, depending on the type of materials that you're using and want to produce. Refinery has input and output grids. For input, as you might expect, it's for the resources which you're going to consume, and then the output is for the resulting refined goods.
So here's a question, and they'll probably get to it. The Galaxy and other ships like the is it the Expanse? Those have refineries. Does having the bases invalidate those to some extent?
This is determined where you select which blueprint you want to use, and therefore which type of refining method you want.
Like, how do you make it so that all of those feel like they still have a purpose too?
A lot of crates here with our extractor and our refinery, so we're going to put down our elevator storage.
I mean, I suppose this guy did need something to
Really
plant
starting
that
to build up now,
initial
but it's worth
structure.
me mentioning again here that whilst we're putting these buildings down instantly in this video, large structures like this, they will take some time with the automated construction drones, but the smaller scale base we saw in the previous video, that can be done in a single play session.
I guess time is another thing that they can modify. Different construction methods will work different. Will have different times.
We'll just keep on putting down more extractors because we want as much as that valuable resource out the ground as quick as possible. And with base building, we're introducing the concept of a freight elevator network. What this will allow you to do is it will allow you to link multiple freight elevators together, and in turn they will share the same storage. So as we're doing here, We'll deposit an item on freight elevator A.
Because it would be really obnoxious if you could not
and then
access
on freight
things
B.
from
there is a distance
different
limit, but you
freight
can
elevators.
chain the elevators together to extend that. And it has to all be contained within the same base.
And they are going for a little more fakery than Star Citizen has been wont to do before, because, you know, this presumes that maybe there's a gigantic conveyor belt underground that connects these freight elevators, but you don't see that.
We can also give them access to existing structures, which is how you can form your org storage using those freight elevators.
So we're getting a little bit of game magic there. I wonder how many people are going to be bothered by that. I'm not. I think it's fine. But on a lot of my videos, I get the, you don't want immersion, you don't want sim,
we always want a safe place to store our ships.
You just want a normal game. It's like, yeah. I want to have fun.
See, it has this large, we call it a foundation tile. It's quite special in that it can actually deform the terrain around it, making it easy to place such a huge structure like this. You can also place other buildings on it, so it's easy for making large, sprawling bases.
Yeah, SC Magic is more and more of a solution since we got
achieve our
hangars.
goal,
That's a good point.
and it is this, our very own fabrication.
I like
hangar.
that yesterday they were showing a willingness
Does
to
anyone guess
instance a lot
what
more
we're gonna build
things.
in a fabrication hangar? An Idris, maybe not an Idris, if I'm honest. We'll have a drive around, we'll go to the entrance and we'll see what's in store for us.
Little parking garage here. I guess not a garage, parking lot.
Looks like whatever it is, it's just about finished crafting.
Shipyard access. There's our C1.
Of course, we were going to build ourselves a ship. So, quick recaps of the gains from industrializing. We've tapped into the brand new resources and we've made use of them by turning into the more valuable refined materials. We've introduced freight elevator networks, which are great for logistics and hauling. And then we've created our fabrication hangar, which allows us to craft big valuable items such as ships. Now, ships are valuable because you can fly them, you can play content with them, but because they are a crafted item, they can also be sold to other players.
Setting up shop and it shows some plants. We're gonna sell weed, guys.
So, with base building, you're going to be able to set up your own shops, and there's two main ways you can do this. The first is using a dedicated trading terminal. You can link these to your freight elevators, and in turn, any items within can be listed for sale at a price you deem reasonable. This includes resources, refined materials, and so on.
Like, straight up
Using
making
the terminal,
a
visiting
store.
players can browse what's on offer, purchase, and then collect from that same freight elevator. The second method is to set up a physical shop in the world. By using the decorator AR we saw earlier with Luke, you can maglock items and then list them for sale. Once again, browsing players, they can see the price of the maglocked item, purchase it, which then removes the maglock. Of course, the nice thing with physical shops is you can genuinely make it feel like a store. You can put items on shelving. You can even go as far as to make your own ship showroom.
Sorry, I just made a boo-boo, and I shut my restream page. I should not have done that. I was just trying to click onto the next.
You can advertise your wares on a Mobigla pass for UEC. However, it is important to note that the point of purchase will always occur at the base itself. Now that we know how to set up shop, I just want to take a moment to talk about why it's so impactful for crafting and base building the game as a whole. Understandably, throughout this presentation, we've been telling you why you want to craft all these things or why you want to build this big base. But maybe you don't have the time to build a big base and maintain
more
it.
new
Maybe
armors
you want to
there.
spend time doing the missions, you want to do your beacons, that's how you want to make your credits instead. Shops mean that you can benefit from the players who do want to spend the time making those bases or crafting those specialist items, and then you can purchase them from them, which is very important because crafted items using high quality materials will be the most powerful in the game. On the flip side, if you do specialize, maybe you end up cornering the markets for a particular item or resource, and your shop will then turn into a hotspot of activity, making you loads of credits. Some of you will become infamous because of it. But bear in mind, a successful shop also depends on location.
Okay, good.
Do you want your customers on edge in Pyro, which tends to have the higher quality materials? Or do you want to spend time hauling them all the way over to safer systems where your customers can be more at peace? We talked about selling items. Let's sell the look.
You might want to have a base in Stanton for your sale location, while your production could be in Pyro.
Up foundation tile. You can place them freely wherever you want, and they just help you mark up areas like, I want to use this place for cargo, I want this for housing, vehicles, and so on.
Very
You'll be able
nice.
to earn paint in-game and apply them to buildings.
Yeah. Imagine a OJE themed base with the cyan, magenta, and yellow. We're gonna have to work on some org branding so that it doesn't look like Rainbow Vomit.
We have some forms of base building which are either still in the design phase or early white box.
Have
but we
those
wanna
colors
share
as
some
tasteful
details.
accents, not
First
just
up, we
like
have
full
farming and
structure
ranching.
paints.
Farming, it comes in two general types. We have our low-tech farming and then high-tech. Low-tech consists of you acquiring the seeds, planting them in the appropriate environment. If you remember back to yesterday, the Brave New Worlds, we had soil types and such now. That'll play a part. As well as supplying them with nutrients and then just harvesting them when they're grown. High-tech, it's a bit more involved because you've got to make the hydroponic buildings we see here.
See,
But
I
in
would
return,
think
you'll
that
be
in
able
a
to grow
system like
exclusive
Pyro,
strains
mag
of
blocking
plants.
is not a end-all. You know, back to the
Ranching
fuse
will allow you to
thing,
keep
like,
herds of animals.
if your
You'll have to
fuses are
provide them with
down,
feed, water, and shelter,
maybe your mag locks
but in
don't
return,
work.
they will provide you with
And so if they
produce.
damage your
Many of the
fuses,
animals can be
maybe then
ranched.
they
I
can
don't
steal
really
your
see
stuff.
a sandworm ranch anytime soon, but the quasi-grazer will, of course, will.
Because there's got to
Not
be
yet.
that risk,
Maybe.
right?
No. We have a few more additional archetypes. We have landing pads, garages, roads, fencing, as well as new variants of
Roads.
structures which you've
They
seen
said
today.
roads.
For instance, the power generator, there'll be solar power, fusion, geothermal, as well as the XL structure class. If you remember, everything we've seen today, the biggest we've seen today, rather, is large. XL is larger than large.
That would make
And then you have
sense.
your defense.
XL is extra large. It's bigger than large.
So, in lawful areas, you have varying levels of security provided for you. With max security, you are protected by planetary shield tech. However, in lawless, Pyro and the likes, you'll have to provide your own defenses. These come in the form of perimeter walls, shielding, which prevents aerial bombardments, and then a range of automated turrets, such as PDC to shoot down missiles, anti-air, anti-vehicle, and anti-personnel.
This is what gets
To round
me
up,
excited.
Whilst we spent this entire time talking about how you can expand a single base, you can of course have multiple. These can be across a single planet, moons, across multiple systems. There are advantages and disadvantages of locations and base types. For example, in lawful areas, you'll need to buy your land for UEC, pay a tax to be able to build, and then you'll gain protection in return. In lawless, no cost, high chance of better quality materials, but no security to fall back on.
There you go.
A small cabin
There's
in
your
the
better-
woods can be great
better
to set up a
materials
single
right
play
there.
session with short build times. However, the large base we just saw will take days, weeks, or even months, depending on how big you want to go. You might want to embark on this endeavor as a team or an org. You can set up a base as an org and own it as the org. For this, there will be permissions available, and you can assign roles and tasks. Ultimately, base building can be your main gameplay loop or a supplementary one.
But in a
depending on
high security
what it is that you
system,
value.
maybe they have additional
I would like
methods to prevent
thank you
theft.
on behalf of the crafting and base building teams. We've been very excited to share with you some of the work so far and the vision we have for these systems.
If it is, I mean, I gave the fuse as a example, but maybe there's other things that tie into it. Maybe fuses is all you're left with in a low security system, and so you need to be more proactive about changing them to keep your mag locks working. That's pretty dope. Yeah, and if you build a massive base as an org, you know, I mean, there are going to be other people preventing theft as well. You know, assuming that your org does a good job of culling the ranks and keeping people well behaved. That is so cool. That is awesome. That's bigger than most of the settlements we've seen in games built by citizens over hundreds of years.
So stick around. Thank you.
Hello, Citizencon. I'm Kirsten, your core tech producer.
All right.
And I'm here off the back of that amazing presentation with Thorsten. How are you feeling, Thorsten?
Okay, we're at 2-hour mark,
that
so
was an incredible
end of first intermission. Let's jump ahead.
All right, guys. Crafting and base building.
They're gonna make him do this until he's 90, guys.
Fundamentally change all life in the persistent universe. Just a little bit, right? There's more of that coming later today, by the way. Before I get to
I got that W word on my mind.
Introduce two of my favorite people.
When?
I do want to call out these lovely little note cards here. You've seen many of our presenters and our hosts carrying them here. I have not been carrying mine, and I probably should have. This one just says, "Don't run." This one says, "Thank Kat and Mandy, but also Tyler and Leah." Guys, can we get a round of applause for Tyler and Leah, please? Now, Tyler, you probably know, is our Director of Community. Tyler is what we call internally as a product owner. He is the product owner for Citizencon. So everything that you see here at this event this year is touched in one way, shape, or form by Tyler Wicken. So please give a round of applause for Tyler Wicken.
Very nice.
And because Tyler Wicken can't do anything by himself, Leah is the one who does most of the hard work. So Leah, who will never be on camera and who hates to be embarrassed, please give a round of applause for Leah, please. This one just says, "Learn to stretch." This one says, "Don't let the intrusive thoughts out."
Like running.
I almost lost it with that rabbit weasel thing yesterday. This one says, "Hi, Dad." Hi, Dad. And this one says, "Don't run," crossed out. "Don't roll on the stage, dummy." All right. So that's enough for me. Guys, our next
Did that all look like the same handwriting, though? Is that just Jared bagging on himself there?
By two people who almost certainly need no introduction, but I'm going to do it anyway. Ben Curtis was born in Manchester. No, I'm just. Vehicle art director Ben Curtis, and gosh. Oh, I was going to do something really embarrassing. All right. John Crew, you're saved. Come on out, John Crew.
This is the ship sail part of the show, right?
You're lucky they didn't wait.
Cheers, Mom.
Hi, everybody. It's good to see you all again. Love you too.
I love you,
here.
random citizen.
In case you don't know me and you weren't listening to Jared there, which I do quite a lot, my name's John Crew, I'm the vehicle director.
My name's Ben Curtis, I'm the vehicle art director.
We see these guys on ISC a lot.
And the clicker is not working.
Oh no!
So if
it is a Drake interplanetary clicker. I knew it.
You have to do a dance, John.
There we go.
There we go.
Right.
All right. We're back.
So, today we're going to be talking about the vehicles to build your universe. And for those of you that watched the previous presentation, which is awesome about base building and crafting, you should be familiar with the
Pioneer
construction grav cart. And you've seen how this works. You might be wondering, well, if I've got this, why do I need some vehicles to do things? I know there's going to be some of you that will be perfectly prepared to go push this thing.
Exactly what I was asking.
Out of the garages at New Babbage. But realistically, you're going to need a ship to put it in. It can't carry supplies by itself, so you're going to need to put supplies in the ship, move them. And it has small drones. And that's the key aspect there. It has 2 small drones on board. And drones all have sizes.
Okay, so, yeah, basically everything you're going to be building in Star Citizen has its size class. A lot of you are familiar with how we class our ships and a lot of other things in our game. So it ranges from, small all the way up to large.
See that part about parallel production? That's kind of what you were talking about, right, Norak?
But what does it really mean, the difference between...
Maybe if you have 5 grav carts, you have 5 small drones, and you can build 5 small things at once.
A medium drone,
or
for
one
example,
small
can
thing
build
5 times faster.
up to a medium size. So it can build smalls, mediums, and it will be able to build small structures faster than what a small drone would. So the size makes difference depending on how big you want to go. But the drones also scale in numbers. In the one drone can only make one structure at a time.
I think as the game ages more and more, I think we're going to see size classes above extra large.
Or,
we might get the Chungus massive
craft a lot more structures, a lot
Death
bigger
Star
sizes.
scale.
And that's kind of really the key to kind of like the upgrade path through the kind of drone sizes. So we've had a look at the small. So what's next? What do you want to build? A medium. So I know some of you have already seen
Pickup truck.
But this is the CSV from Argo.
So launching today is the very first ground vehicle from Argo, the construction support vehicle.
Colossal.
CSV.
There you go.
So this specialized chassis is developed to take on all the conditions on all the planets. It's a little rugged beast that really does just go everywhere. And if you're constructing a new settlement, there's 2 things you need. You need drones to build it, you need supplies to supply the drones to build it. And that's why the CSV comes in 2 variants. So we have the CSV FM, which stands for Fabrication Module. So this has 2 medium drones on board, and we built it to fit in as many vehicles as we could practically get it to fit in. So it fits in vehicles from a Cutlass Black upwards. It's approximately, and everyone always asks me, what ship fits in what, and I lose track of it all the time. It's about the size of a Tumbril Cyclone. So if you can put a Cyclone in a vehicle, you can put one of these in it.
Okay. So it should fit in the Zeus. It's already been leaked on Pipeline. I'm sure someone's already tried that.
It has an internal storage tank for resources. So it has a very small version of a freight elevator built into the back of it. So you feed it 1 SCU crates. It absorbs them into the holding tank on board, and then the drones will come back to the vehicle to refill. And it also has a size 0 serial generator on board for a bit of added protection. What happens when you run out of resources?
Are you leaving us, Schlag?
This is where the CSV SM for supply model comes in. So the second CSV-based vehicle in the game, and this has a traditional 4 SCU cargo grid on the back. So 4 1 SCU boxes, 2 SCU boxes, 1 4 SCU box, depending on what you buy.
I think the mule was ill-conceived when it first came out.
So this is the perfect companion vehicle to the CSV FM.
This ensures that it is dead.
Said that. Shield generator as well. Moves about 28 meters a second. I could not my brain is fried. I can't remember what that is in miles per hour or kilometers per hour. And it is available right now to drive in SC Alpha 324.2. Available at playersc.csv.
Aircraft are fantastic Faraday cages.
So now,
that is a good point.
Let's take
Big
a
metal
closer
tube.
look at the vehicle, and Ben's going to go through it.
Okay, so what we're seeing here is the in-game version of the CSV. It's complete with its 4 SCU of cargo up on the rear.
And this is the inside of a Zeus, isn't it? No, that's the Corsair.
Kind of really builds on what Argo is known for as a manufacturer. It's got those kind of like really kind of hard industrial looks.
I think that's the Corsair.
And I think it helps it kind of feel at home on any build site. All of its components are easily accessible. And I think the exterior is like real dominating factor. It's those kind of large all-terrain wheels. And then that's kind of backed up by just simple, smooth, sleek lines. We've got the front-loaded cab that puts all the controls kind of right in the kind of where the player needs them. And I think that's one of the keys to the ship as a whole, or the vehicle as a whole, sorry, is it's simple, it's purposeful, it's functional, and I think that just kind of just helps it to kind of feel part of that Argo family. But
yeah, it looks like everything's going to be like right in front of you.
But what if you want to go bigger?
So you're unobstructed for whatever you're building.
Okay.
Star Lancer.
So, introducing the Star Lancer family. So,
the
Star Lancer is
more
basically a whole new
boldest
family of vehicles,
freelancer.
From MISC, and these are covering a range of different roles. Today, we're going to be talking about the first 3, which are the build, which kind of makes sense, and that basically is for all your large,
got all the right curves in all
needs.
the right places.
We have the TAC, which is going to be for people that want a little bit more defensive or offensive excursions in our universe. And then we have the Max, which is a dedicated hauler, but it can still pack a bit of a punch. So we're going to take a bit of a closer look at all of them today. We're going to start off with the build.
So this is the Star Lancer build from the outside. The key thing to take away here is you'll see it has the drone bays on each side, and then it has
it's
the
definitely
drone
a MISC
resupply
ship
arms for allowing the drones to come back and resupply.
MISC is probably my least favorite from an aesthetic perspective.
So you have a single station inside, and this
so, I mean,
is where you control your drones
it's not
from,
exactly
much like Luke showed you
my
in the,
flavor.
Previous presentation.
But for people that like MISC,
it's definitely
a
drones held
MISC.
on each side of the room, so 4 large drones in total. And then there are 2 filler stations right at the front here, and these each hold 16 SCU of capacity, which can then go and load the internal resource tank to feed the drones.
This looks like that thing that slurps up R2-D2 at the start of A New Hope.
Drones will then be deployed out of their little secret garages, and they go off and do what you've asked them to do. When they need to resupply, they'll come back, sit on these arms, suck up their resources that they need, carry on their day.
Yeah, I mean,
past
Akani, a lot of these ships only make sense if you have
enough
the people to run them. And so they make more sense in like an org context.
Things on your base, you're going to run out. But we want you to be able to have these vehicles and have knowledge that you're not going to be doing endless cargo runs initially to build your foundation, your base. You'll be able to build your base and have storage on that eventually, but these all get you going in the short term. So let's have a quick go over the stats. It holds 4 large construction drones. It's 83 meters long, 52 meters wide, 15 tall. Saw lots of rumors and chatters that people thought this was Freelancer size. It is not. It is significantly larger than the Constellation and Corsair. It's almost 600i in size, so it is a big ship. 2 escort guns, 4 pilots,
that is
16
pretty
missiles, remote turrets, and then 128 SU of cargo capacity in the build specifically. But what if you don't want to build stuff? What if, like me, you just want to burn stuff and destroy stuff?
So introducing the Star Lancer attack. So, like I say,
it already makes more sense than the Cutlass Steel
into the verse. So I think the first thing you're going to
encapsulated
notice,
turrets firing down
kind of
so much better than the door guns.
Now these give much better kind of broadside coverage from any of the other variants. And then on top, we also have like a dedicated
mini hangar
that has been specifically designed to fit
Furies.
Mirai Fury inside. And I'm sure we will see plenty of other ships try to be fitted inside. But yeah, we'll see. And I think John's going to run you through the interior now.
So yeah, let's have a look over the tack from outside to in. So this is the tack in its default paint. So sort of.
Let's see, where did I put my wallet? I need to take my wallet and throw it farther away from me. It needs to be out of reach. This is a dangerous time for my budget.
Then internally, obviously Ben talked about the size 5
They're going to show more ships than just this,
then
too.
we have some drop seats behind, and these are on a deployable ramp, so you can
be
use ground
strong.
assault, they will drop out, down. If you're doing a bit of ground assault, chances are someone's probably going to get injured, so there is an onboard medical facility directly behind there with 2 Tier 3 medical beds.
Okay, so this is like the do-everything combat-wise ship. Drop ship,
upstairs,
med bay.
There's the Fury hangar.
Yeah, that bomber jacket is tempting me, man.
And then forward of the hangar is the refactored habitation and mess hall area, which is specific to the TAC, just because there's so much other stuff crammed in there. We had to redo the upstairs of it, basically, to fit that in. And we'll go over the more normal layout shortly.
Okay, so yeah, to sum up, I think the TAC's obviously going to bring a lot more firepower from the other variants. Its shield's been boosted up to two size 3 shield generators.
Wait, sorry, I got to go back a little bit. Did they show? It doesn't look like there's much. Okay, well, this is the cargo hold back here, right? So you could probably put a ground vehicle in there, like a Nova tank.
We had to redo the upstairs of it, basically, to fit that in. And we'll go over the more normal layout shortly.
Okay, so yeah, to sum up, I think the TAC's obviously going to bring a lot more firepower from the other variants. Its shield's been boosted up to two size 3 shield generators. It's got the med bay with the tier 3 med beds, drop seats. It's got the hangar, and it's still able to carry.
They're showing it facing off against a hammerhead, but surely the hammerhead has the advantage there, right?
/Starlance attack.
Yeah, I mean, the hammerhead, it's got way more firepower. This isn't flyable now, is it? And they're showing a lot of the interior. Oh, there you go. IAE. Welcome, Dado. I don't think I've seen your name in chat before. Welcome to the channel. How you doing?
Okay, so I think you kind of hopefully agree that was a pretty great kind of trailer for the Starlancer Max.
It was basically done. They've got it all just putting the finishing figured out
now. So yeah, we're just getting it all done.
Comes
all ready
out
for
IAE.
its launch at IAE. We will take a little bit of a closer look at it now. I think the Starlancer kind of really fully encapsulates
so
Lisk's
TAC
kind of
just
ability
concepted
to create
BLD, who
beautiful
knows?
ships. It's got this bulbous design that really helps to kind of convey its underlying structure and its underlying strength.
We'll probably get more details about it concurrently with base building.
I think when the engineers were trying to kind of put this together, they were thinking about what's useful, what's great, and one of the things that we thought about was this deployable cargo grid that just brings the cargo down to the ground, makes it much easier for loading and unloading. And they also wanted to put the kind of the crew, you know, they wanted to put what was important for them. So they've added a lot of windows out so the crew can see out into the verse, and it's one of the things that we know people like is being able to have these kind of little windows out into space.
Oh,
above the kind of main habitation area.
Hear that, guys? They're adding more windows to ships now.
Pass down into the cruise area. For a bit more protection, you've got 8 size 3 missiles up front, and then a further 8 on top. And these are backed up by a set of size 4 remote turrets, both front and rear, that give good topside coverage.
It might not have a tractor beam,
finally,
but at least it does have the good cargo
front,
access.
You'll see we have a further set of size 4 gimbal weapons. And again, these just kind of help to fill in those blind spots.
It's already got that advantage over the raft. The raft is deceptive in how accessible the cargo looks and how difficult it is to actually use.
Job in creating a vehicle that kind of fully encapsulates the functionality needed, while still ensuring that the crew's kind of well-being and livelihood is protected. It's all in the package that kind of really dominates the sky, and I think it really shows off Mist's ability to deliver kind of quite beautiful ships.
Right, so don't worry, this is not an Origin 404 moment happening here. So let's have a look inside the Starlancer Max now. So, love it or hate it, we love it. The MISC traditional letterbox view is back. At the front of the ship, you have the pilot, co-pilot seat with 2 support stations at the rear. These are the ones that control the remote turrets by default. Then behind that, we have the escape pod room. 4 escape pods, full crew. And then behind that, we have the traversal. It's sort of a traversal room. It has a lift, goes between the 2 floors of this ship and goes to the exterior of the ship. And then a ladder for emergency backup. Behind that is the mess hall area, so nice shared communal space for you to relax with your crew. And then we move into the 4 individual crew rooms, each with double beds, so very luxurious for a spaceship. En suites for all. At the rear of this section, we have a further 2
pretty
lifts.
nice.
These are just internal to go between the 2 decks of the ship. Then at the rear, we have the main engineering. So there are some components dotted around throughout the rest of the ship, but the bulk of your components and the engineering terminal are here at the rear of the ship. So that's upstairs. Let's go downstairs a little bit.
I like this this view that they're giving with the semi-transparent skin.
We have the main vehicle entrance and cargo entrance for the rear section. This can be used as a garage, but it is also a cargo hold. Can fit vehicles up to a Ursa rover in size in here. And then on the Max, we have, as you saw in the trailer, the 2. It's sort of one
they
cargo lift that
are,
drops down,
but
it retains a walkway throughout the center of the ship. So regardless
I don't know,
of
they're
whether
still
your
nice
cargo
to
is
have.
up, down, being loaded,
They don't
you still have
serve
traversal
a
front to
true
back of the ship.
function yet, but
Then we have the downstairs of the traversal room, which also features the airlock onto the ship. And then lastly, we have the armory at the front of the ship. So if you're coming on board, leaving via EVA, leaving via that front entrance to the ground, you can stop off here, suit up, get your weapons, do the reverse coming back. And that is the Starlancer Max.
you can tell that as time has gone on, they've gotten a lot better in considering how much space.
So we'll quickly recap the stats.
Things should take. The
224 SU
interior
cargo,
space is a lot better considered.
128 on that ventral drop platform.
This is
96
about
in the
600
rear cargo
I
area,
size,
has 6
they
extra
said.
VTOL
So
thrusters,
you
for
go
all
back
the
and
extra
look at the
mass that it's
600
hauling.
I.
And it is
There's a
available
lot
to
of
pre-order now,
pretty
and will
bad
be flyable
glaring
this
issues.
IE at play.se Starlancer Max. And if you pre-order now before IE, you will get this exclusive sapphire paint, which is in the Citizencon colors and looks super cool in my opinion.
I like that blue. That's a nice blue.
We have talked small drones, medium drones, large drones.
XL drones.
What about bigger things?
Pioneer. Yep. There you go.
So, Who can guess what that is? So, I talked to you all quite some time ago about this in Germany, and
quite some time
this is
ago.
obviously the original concept for the Pioneer.
Understatement.
Now, some time has passed, and whilst the core concepts of base building have remained the same at a high level, how you physically build your bases has changed slightly. So, back then, you were building everything on board the ship here. You would fly your Pioneer. This is the area I want to build in. I'm going to build my base on board the ship.
And now they're talking more drones.
As you've seen, bases are a lot more expansive now. This doesn't work anymore. So we need to do a little bit of some reconcepting.
Okay, so one of the first things we really wanted to kind of solve was the arm. We know a lot more about how we're going to be constructing these structures now, and kind of the arm didn't really make a lot of sense anymore. All it really did was it made the space you need to land the ship almost twice as big as what it's kind of needed. And we're not real spaceship engineers. We don't make real spaceships. But what we do try and do a lot of the time is we try and take as much reference from kind of real life manufacturing as we possibly can. And I think that's really it's really key to what I think Star Citizen is as a whole across like all the different departments, in that we're trying to make a believable universe. And if you think about the arm, and whilst I can't deny it's a cool idea, I think really from a manufacturing point of view, all it really does is it adds a lot of complication and a lot of manufacturing costs onto what is already a very advanced, very large, very costly ship to make. So that was kind of like one of the kind of real first things we wanted to do.
They sound kind of scared, right? Yeah, they're trying really hard not to piss off Pioneer owners. I know Mike's one, so I know that he's very interested in seeing how they do this. I don't think that anything they've said so far is necessarily bad, but they do sound scared. And this is one of those ships. It's been in concept for so long, but people have this idea of what they want it to be, and then
the second thing we wanted to look at,
if it deviates from that, it's
have a little bit of a shift around.
They get real touchy. So I understand why they're feeling like that, but
the cargo position has moved, so we needed to kind of update that.
This seems pretty reasonable so far. I don't think people are upset.
The landing pad made sense and had space to kind of come into the ship. And then we also needed a way of getting things out of the ship that we will be crafting. On top of that, we had a few other goals. Like I say, it needs to support all the updated kind of building mechanics. It needs to support all our current metrics, and I don't mean just character metrics. I mean all metrics, because we're going to be creating a lot of things inside this ship. We wanted it to kind of become a true self-sustained mobile base. We wanted it to kind of be kind of like the cornerstone of your crafting and construction ventures. And to do that, we needed to add a few extra kind of onboard facilities. So a med bay, like I say, the crafting area, the ability to refine or extract and refine materials.
Change is a four-lettered word.
So let's have a quick look over the updated interior of the Pioneer. So at the back of the ship, we have the classic bridge, looks out over the expanse of the ship. And then top and bottom of that in this image, we have the escape pod rooms. And then leading off those is the access to the manned turrets that remain. Then going downstairs, we have the cargo area at the top. Doesn't look like a lot. That's 1,000 SEU of cargo now in that space.
Okay, yeah. 1,000 SEU. That's...
Next to that is the fabrication control room. This is where you'll be fabricating larger vehicles and ships, as well as smaller fabrication machines next door for. You don't want to use this to build a small FPS weapon. It's a bit overkill. So we have that on board as well. In the center of the ship, we have a small fabrication hangar.
Is that this where he's talking about for the vehicles?
So if you're building a small ship on board, so things like a Nomad you can build on board here. You'll be able to fly it out the roof of the fabrication hangar. And then we have the existing small landing pad that transitions from outside the ship to inside the ship. So cargo you can load via new entrance that Ben's going to talk about in a second, but you can still retain the ability to land a ship on top of this ship, move it inside your ship, all those things. Engineering at the rear, this is now capital components all the way around. It was a weird mix of size 3s before, it's now just all capital everything. Then we have the habitation, mess hall, medical area between the hangar and engineering. And then at the front, we have 4 extra large drones in the drone room. But we don't just have some pictures like this to show you. Ben's going to go through this in a bit more detail now.
Okay, yeah, so we're going to have a little look at kind of like the concept and where it's at on the interior. We start out on the interior bridge. It's very spacious, or command deck bridge, whatever you want to call it.
And part of this may just be that this guy struggles with presentation.
And up right up front, you've got all the consoles required that you need to kind of control
we talked yesterday about how
as well as the kind of
nerve-wracking it can be to be in front of people like this.
And then at the rear,
I mean, it could just be that he's nervous too.
Components and some small engineering consoles. And kind of flanking either side, we've got these 2 corridors, and they lead out to the man turrets that kind of sit above the bridge. And they also have all the escape pods needed for all the bridge crew. Like I say, we want this to kind of be a home away from home, so we have a very large, comfortable habitation area. Each of the crew members, they get their own individual crew pod. And one of the nice things about this is these actually open up, and they allow kind of each crew member to kind of decide like how much privacy they actually want. This is the crafting area. We've got the 4 kind of crafting machines. And these are right next to the cargo bay, the internal cargo bay. And as John says, this holds up to 1,000 SEU of cargo, so it's pretty sizable. To make it a little bit easier, it's got its own dedicated cargo lift at the back that, again, just simplifies that kind of getting cargo in and out of the vehicle. Down at the front, we have the drone room. Now, these will be 4 extra large drones, so they'll be able to craft our largest structures in game. They exit the ship out through the roof, and they're all controlled by the construction console in this area. And finally, we're just going to take a quick look at the crafting area on the ship. So you can see here we've got these blast shields down that kind of protect the crew in this area from what's going on inside.
Don't want flying debris taking out one of your crew members.
We just finished making a storm, and as we see that.
But it also means that they can do some magic behind the scenes and not have to worry so much about making everything visible to players.
There's a ramp that leads out, so you can drive any ground vehicle
play some sounds,
between all the
and then
you get this really
the blast shields open. Oh look, you've got a storm done.
Out the front of the ship. And we've also got the top exit for any flight vehicles.
One of the criticisms Star Citizen gets is the Beam Citizen meme,
and this
right?
Just, allows us for any ships that land up on deck.
Fine, we just won't show it to you.
Into the belly of the ship.
So, that's the Pioneer. It's had quite the glow up over the years. Holds 4 extra large drones. And if you're interested in finding out what extra large drones can build, I highly recommend sticking around for the next presentation. It's about 20%
We're not going anywhere, John.
Would make ships bigger, but to fit all that in, it needed it. It can craft small ships and vehicles. And one thing we didn't show in that video is the landing gear actually have integrated ground resource extractors in. So when you find your plot, you land your ship and you can start extracting the resources from it.
Very neat.
Components all round, and now it has 1,000 SU cargo capacity. Now the bad news. When base building comes out, this will not be there day 1 of it. But we are starting this in the next week or 2, so it is in production very soon.
All right. Every Pioneer owner should be happy now.
To finish up, we'll do the classic one last thing. Citizencon is usually about looking forwards, but we'll do some housekeeping and look at the now and...
Where's Schlog at? Schlog is a Polaris owner.
This is Ben.
Yeah, so you remember last year we teased these 10 vehicle silhouettes.
Yeah, let's refresh our memory. This is the Zeus, the Polaris. We're pretty sure that this is the Mirai Guardian. We haven't seen it yet. Retaliator modules, the Vulcan, right? This is the boarding ship. This guy, we don't know this one yet either, correct? And this is our Lynx, it's the Argo one. I can't remember what it's called. Then we got the Origin X1 series and the Mirai Pulse.
Now, these were vehicles that we were planning on working on this year, and we've not quite delivered all of them yet this year. But we did come quite close. So far we've delivered 6. We've delivered the Pulse, the X1, the Medvac, the Argo and PUV 1T, the RSI Zeus, and the rework on the Retaliator.
Okay.
Oh, but what about the rest?
Legionnaire, not the Vulcan.
All but one of these will be released before the end of the year. So the Legionnaire is the one that's going to miss out. And that's because we want to align it with hacking gameplay. But the rest will be here before the end of the year. So Crusader Intrepid, Mirai Guardian, and the Polaris. So...
And the Polaris at this point is basically done.
Today, standing on stage,
because it's supposed to be IAE.
But let's start with some things that you're going to see at IAE.
Is this the... No, this is Anvil. This is a Terrapin. I recognize those engines. So, Terrapin Med variant. Crusader, those are Crusader engines. So this is the Intrepid. Medipin. I like it. They're giving us a lot of vague shots, so maybe they don't want to show the full view. They want to just kind of keep you guessing until IAE. There we go. This is what we want. Man, that turret is big. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of overlap between this and the Galaxy. Based on the coloring, you can tell that this is definitely more of a militaristic ship. There's a lot less of the blue accents and creature comfort-focused coloring that we see in the Zeus series. But I would expect that a lot of those come back for the Galaxy. But structure, shape, function, a lot of those stuff will carry over on assets. Nice sized hangar. And that one can fit for sure up to a Saber, right? I think I remember them showing that. Nice view over engineering. Like all these greebly bits. Very cool. Cool. Lift. Cargo area. This has quite a few internal lifts, doesn't it? Torpedo rack. Kind of set up like a revolver, which is kind of cool. Turrets. And then now we're out the rear of the ship. No, that was the front. Okay, at some point we turned around then. Sneaky. Looks really good.
Okay, so on top of those ships we've talked about, we also worked on a number of other ships this year. So we're just going to quickly go through them before we get on to what we're doing next. So we delivered the Sulen, the Storm, the Cutter Rambler.
Great ship.
The F7A
the Cutter series.
and F7C Mark IIs. So I always get tongue-twisted with these.
OP at the moment.
Mark Is.
They also did the Santok EI, the
Meh.
Sabre Firebird,
These
the
ones are
Peregrine,
cool.
and then most recently, the Argo Atlas.
So, Santok EI was very meh
did a little
for me.
tease.
Like, it's got that real
Can't
cool
just leave without teasing a little
alien
bit more,
aesthetic,
so
but I felt like the
let's
sound
have a
and
quick look at just
VFX
some,
really kind of let it
emphasis on
down.
some of the vehicles that we're working on in the next 12 months.
Well, that's the CSV, right? And that looks like another Ursa variant. Anvil vehicle. That's some kind of Hornet. Yeah, they didn't mention the Zeus. They did totally skip that, didn't they? Looks like some kind of Hornet, very very Anvil-esque. The wings, especially, very Hornet-esque. Another Hornet. So these are probably the variants then of that looks like to be the Legionnaire, maybe? No, that's the medical Terrapin, right? This is our Mirai Guardian, which they have not shown yet. Prospector? I mean, that fits the silhouette of a Prospector. But the Prospector doesn't have a drop down here. This looks MISC in shape language. It's got mining laser out here. Is this maybe a MISC Fortune? Is this a multi-person Prospector? Because this looks like this could be hiding the silhouette of another mining laser. So maybe this is your mid-step between a Prospector and a mole. That looks like the Intrepid. mean, this could be Crusader, but I would think Crusader has smoother lines than this. This looks like more texture than a Crusader ship would have. This makes me think, I mean, it looks most similar to Reliant Core with the greebles here on the wings, but this shape makes me feel Drake. And this, no idea what this big stump would be. This isn't the, I don't think this is the Galaxy, because that man model looks too big for it. Okay, that's the Star Lancer. That's the Perseus, right? That's an Ironclad. That's a Pioneer.
So.
They didn't show the Galaxy. Where's my Galaxy?
A big thank you to all of you, and a big thank you to all the vehicle team in all the studios around the globe. They give us all this really cool stuff that we can get to stand on stage and talk to you guys about. Some of them are probably hiding at the back, but I just want to say a big thank you to you all, especially for all the hard work on these recent ships.
Yeah. Massive, massive thank you to everyone involved in putting these vehicles together.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
They didn't show my Galaxy, unless I missed it.
That was awesome, you guys. I swear some of those silhouettes looked a little familiar. Let's give it up one more time for the vehicle team. Let's hear it for the vehicle team, everybody. Woo! Call and response. We'll work on it for next year.
Let's check our timestamps.
Awesome
this is 2:48. Second intermission. Anything worth watching in the second intermission? Skipping ahead.
Hey, well, I hope you had a great day yesterday. And by the way, there's a perfect run through that Rich did immediately after the show. He went back to the office, ran it through, no crashes, no nothing. It's up on YouTube.
Sure.
By the way, that's a dedication.
Sure.
Rich is like, okay, I'm going to get it done properly, and he did it, and it looks great, and it doesn't have any screen.
Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't like
tearing. There was a technical glitch in the setup yesterday. So anyway, watch that, and if you're doing comparisons to the old stuff, compare with that video, not from the stream. But anyway, I hope you guys liked this morning. There was the base building and the crafting, and the ships, you'll be able to do it. I mean, for me, the ability to sort of create your own place somewhere in the verse, find the perfect spot for you to make your home or harvest resources. It totally
I saw the uninterrupted version. I watched it after stream. It looks good.
Spreading out, and I think putting roots down in the verse. So I can't wait till we get that in there. I mean, that's one of the things that makes me incredibly excited, because I think it will just add so much to a living, breathing universe. But that is a perfect example of Star Citizen, how it's grown over the last 12 years, because we definitely did not have that on the initial Kickstarter or the pitches that we were doing. And, you know, Star Citizen is a living game. I mean, we're constantly always adding content and features and tech as you can see,
I don't think it'd feel complete.
You know, what we're doing on the graphics side, making it better and always improving it. And
I know people always say feature creep, but I think that these are pretty necessary.
A released or a shipped game, not an alpha game. We will still be doing that. So it's just that it will be a living game. We'll never do Star Citizen 2.0. It will always be sort of Star Citizen that will continue to grow. It won't be like, oh, we're going to do Destiny 2 after Destiny 1. It will just be a living, growing product.
A little bit of a jab there.
I don't mean that as a knock at them. I just mean that in today's world, you constantly upgrade and improve things. But the big question really is, at what point would we, at
Destiny
CIG,
2 has been in a bit of a rough spot lately too.
Star Citizen ready for everybody,
is,
not just
a lot of people are looking at maybe Destiny 3 now.
Early adopters, willing to put up with bugs, jankiness, you know, not a great new player experience. We know all those things are things that we want to fix and improve, and we want a game that...
Okay, I'm going to do a quick pause so I can send off a text.
One can just get into at the beginning, understand it, have fun, you know, pulls you into it, and then has a huge amount of depth. So the question is, what is that? And that is what we call Star Citizen 1.0. It's something that
this is where he's going to lay out the plans,
looking and designing and thinking
for what 1.0 looks.
The past X number of years. And now we thought, you know what we should do, because I think half our sort of initial stuff is from a long time ago that you've seen, and then occasionally we'll talk about things we're doing in, you know, Inside Star Citizens or SE Lives. But we're like, okay, let's tell everyone the marker. This is what it is, Star Citizen 1.0. When we hit this, this is what we consider we're ready to go wide. You know, everybody in the world can get in, play it, whether you're hardcore or casual, have fun, play in the verse, interact, have a great time. And so that is what we're going to tell you today, is what we consider Star Citizen 1.0. That doesn't mean, as I said, that we'll stop at that point. We'll continue to grow and build and add things. So fishing is not on Star Citizen 1.0's list, but I'm pretty sure...
But it could be in the future.
I'm pretty sure it will be not that long after 1.0. But that is the example. We're going to tell you what the marker is. And, you know, to do that, Rich Tyra, who's our senior game director, is going to come
As all of us players are getting older, more of us are taking on fishing as hobbies, so now we want to do it in game too.
Without further ado, Rich Tyra. All right, Rich. Don't crash.
Yeah. Hello, Citizencon.
Don't crash or you're fired.
So, my name is Rich Tyra, and I'm the Senior Game Director for Star Citizen and Squadron 42. Now, I've been at Cloud Imperium for many years, and I've read many, many Spectrum and Reddit posts.
I bet.
And one consistent question I always see is, what type of game is Star Citizen? And I've read many, many answers. Yep. It's a PvE game. It's a PvP game. What about non-combat? Ultimately, it's all three. 3 types of players, 1 universe. So how do we connect those players to create a cohesive game, and not just a set of features bolted together?
Yes, connective tissue. This is what we talked about on the channel a few videos ago.
What type
this
of
is
game
very important.
Is Star Citizen? Well, today, we're going to find out. Okay, so before we get stuck into Star Citizen 1.0, I think I need to clarify a few things. Firstly, what about 4.0? Where does that fit in? Well, 4.0 is the patch that contains server meshing and pyro.
And fundamentally, it's an alpha development patch, which means it's adding further tech, features, and content to our alpha version of the game. Today, though, it's beyond 4.0.
Totally different game.
All the way to
when
1.0.
When 4.0 comes out.
The big difference is that 1.0 is the full release of the game. Okay, so what does that mean? How will it be different to a normal patch? Well, firstly, let's look at the 1. The 1 means we're committing to higher base performance and minimal bugs. No longer will we reference that the game is in development. This will be a fully released and polished experience.
It's gotta work.
It means fully rounded gameplay loops, from new player experience to story missions and end game.
It's gonna have that connective tissue. You can go from one thing to another, and it's the seamless experience.
It's a true.
Woo! No more resets. Honestly, that is so huge. Resets are the thing that I have seen kill the most ambition to play Star Citizen right now. Just that threat that everything you do might be gone later. No resets. That's big.
It's a true persistent.
You can finally tell your friends, yes, whatever you do, you'll have it forever.
What about the .0? Well, it's just as important. It means we're still committed to continued development, with new content and features being planned post.
But it won't be an excuse anymore.
But those features will no longer be tier 0. We'll be committing to a higher benchmark of quality for each patch, and most importantly, it's a moment in time.
Yeah, I've played a little bit of Tarkov. I'm kind of in the middle.
Or star system that we've mentioned in the past that is not in 1.0. It just means it will come later.
I think they're definitely a big negative
is more
overall.
Than just a number change. It's the beginning.
I think
of a
what
new phase
Tarkov runs into is it doesn't have that further progression where you can keep going.
And the .0.
So you do hit that ceiling quickly of how far you can go.
And for this, we need to go all the way back to the beginning.
Oh no!
Here we are.
They're bringing up the Kickstarter? They made so many promises there.
It brings back memories. And it also reminds me we had a lot of stretch goals.
Yeah.
And one of those goals was 100 star systems.
One of those stretch goals was modding. Does anyone feel like modding is going to happen? I think there's no shot.
But, and there is a but.
But, oh
the
no.
Star systems of old are not the star systems of today. They were based on the privateer and freelancer model. They were unexplorable planets with an isolated and small landing zone and had automated landings. And we all know how that went. To give you an idea, Stanton had 4 points of interest, and the entire 100 systems only had 90 POIs. Compare that to Stanton today, and we have 1,626 points of interest. And that is going to be dwarfed once we start using the Starchitect tool you saw yesterday.
Okay, I mean, fair. I think the problem is people still hear that 100 systems and they don't make that connection.
With 100 star systems, because the game we have today was not just the game that was pitched back then. It's more rich, it's more diverse, and fundamentally, you'll be getting a whole lot more, and I mean a lot more. Okay, so now I've defined what 1.0 is, let's get into the cool stuff. Star Citizen, by its very nature, is a sandbox MMO. Today, you as a player have to find the fun. You have to figure out what you can do and how to do it. If you want to be a hauler or salvager, you have to know those professions exist. You have to know what ships support that gameplay. And you have to rely on outside resources for help. As it is now, the game is not set up to help you. So we're going to add a soft framework, a nervous system, that connects all the professions, ships, and content together. And to do this, we're going to add a main story.
Yes. I like it. Also came up in a video.
To help new and existing players, to help...
I took a surprising amount of flack when I released that video back in the day. Talking about how I would love to see main story elements integrated into Star Citizen. I was very surprised, but it makes logical sense, so I'm glad CIG agrees with me.
Discover all the exciting features and content we have. To take them on a journey of discovery of what the game has to offer.
You need a way to guide players to find what they want to do.
And help onboard players with understanding how to play the game and understand what's available to them. This story will also introduce each of our guilds and what professions we have to offer. Like the United Resource Workers, our core industrial guild.
Which is not the only guild.
Of our main professions, mining and salvaging. They also support many other features and professions, like repair technician, crafter, and builder. Guilds are hugely important in Star Citizen, and as you know by now, guilds are comprised of many factions. As you work for each of these factions, you will gain guild reputation. You can then use this reputation as a currency to purchase guild-affiliated rewards.
I totally understand what you mean, Norak. Scope of the game changed, so the goals have to change. And I agree in a lot of ways. The problem that you run into, though, is people were sold one thing and they are being given another. And so there's still a lot of contention that arises from that point. Because he made the argument what we are receiving as far as systems is true. I mean, it is a lot more rich than anything we had before. But people are still going to hold them to that contractual obligation of, well, you said 100 systems. And so it's a very difficult line they have to walk. Because there's the potential for legal ramifications, as far as I understand. I don't know how much that actually plays into it. I'm not a lawyer, and I don't do finances either.
Like ships, blueprints, and items. And each guild will have a unique inventory of what they offer.
Yeah, I mean, it evolved over time.
Alongside
so too with the goals,
growth,
right?
Guild reputation
the issue is
will
that financial aspect. People paid for one thing.
And to talk more about
if they feel like they're getting a bait and switch, they're going to be upset.
Introduce David Haddock onto the stage, our very own.
But I love everything that I'm seeing. This is all perfect. This is exactly what I'd want to see.
Thank you, Rich. Hello, Citizencon. How's it going? Awesome. So,
I don't know what the answer is in that point. Like I said, I'm not a lawyer. I don't do business.
First real opportunity to
I'm happy with the way that they're going, but some people will still be upset.
But we're looking to do that in several of ways. Now, Rich introduced the main story, so let's get into it. What exactly is that?
And I mean, you look at the gameplay space we have, if they actually reach that goal of 100-kilometer density, like, you're not going to run out of stuff to do.
That will finally kick off the growing
tension. And that's ultimately what the 100 systems was supposed to do. It's supposed to give you stuff to do.
Yeah. It will be NPC driven. So while Squadron 42 will always be the place to go for AAA cinematic adventure, we're bringing a lot of the techniques that we learned from that to capture and build a cast of dynamic characters, some of which may be familiar, for both this story and the PU. And the main story is also designed to be sort of like a tour bus structure where you can hop on and hop off at any time you want to. So we're not also requiring you to do it. So if you want to log in day one and just go off and do your thing, you can do that. Or maybe you want to put the story on hold so you can go explore a new facet of gameplay that you just discovered. Go for it. The point is that you can complete it at your own pace. So that's the what. So why do you want to do this? What's the motivation to want to go on this ride? Like Rich said, for new
AUEC,
players,
you'll get so many credits.
Into sort of the vast lore that we've been developing over 12 years. The gameplay,
he's going to talk about rewards,
that the game has to offer, and also give you a sense of upcoming stories that are about to come. But you've been playing Star Citizen for years. You probably know the lore better than me. So what's in it for you? Now, of course,
Shout
we'll
out
have
Astro
rewards along
Historian.
the way as you complete missions and whatnot. But we're finally going to offer a big prize for completing the story.
Citizenship.
Citizenship.
Do you have what it takes to be a citizen?
Maybe you already know this, but for the uninitiated, in the UEE, there are citizens and there are civilians. Citizens are members of the population who have demonstrated a commitment to bettering the empire, and as such are given benefits that civilians just don't have. Now, what those differences have been debated in the community over years. 1.0, we're finally going to answer that debate.
Okay.
I won't get into the full list of benefits that we're going to offer, but can reveal that one of them will be around land ownership. Citizens will be able to purchase land anywhere in the UEE and enjoy the security that comes with it. But civilians will have a couple of restrictions as to which systems and which planets they can buy on.
Okay.
So that's the why. So where is this adventure going to take you? Well, 1.0 is going to include 5-star systems. This story is going to weave you through all of them, but where exactly are you?
There you go. 5.
First, we've got Stanton.
5-star systems 1.0.
Which needs very little introduction. I'm sure you're all very intimately familiar with these 4 corporate-run worlds. But since I do lore, I figure I could take the next hour and just walk through each one of these. But, okay. We've also got Pyro, Land of the Lawless. A volatile star at the center of the system is the perfect metaphor for the constant struggle between the gangs and survivors trying to hack out an existence here. If you saw Ian's location presentation yesterday, then you know that he reintroduced Nick's system. There's another unclaimed system that's currently home to the People's Alliance, a wannabe independent government formed during the Messer era, but now struggling with the burdens of governance, a growing outlaw presence, and a new threat on their doorstep from Vandal raids.
Yes.
Ian also made another big announcement of our 4th system, Castra. Situated along the former Perry line, this was a key strategic system to launch an attack if the Cold War between the humans and the Xi'an ever escalated. So that's 4. Do you guys want to know 5?
Terra or Odin? Woo!
Yeah.
Okay, now Terra is not our solar system, right? Isn't that Sol in the game? Sol is where we're all actually from, with Earth and Mercury, Venus, Mars. Terra is he's probably going to go over it, but if I remember correctly, it's the seat of political power in the universe, and so it's the de facto home system, even though we're not actually from there.
We're finally doing it. Considered by many to be the new jewel of the Empire, Terra has been a shining star against the more imperialistic tendencies of Earth, even in the darkest days of the Messer regime. Now, many believe
I really
that
like
Terra
seeing this
should
arrow
be the new
planet.
center of the UEE. I don't know how you all feel about that. Yeah, a lot of division.
I've always wanted to go to a
But that's our starting 5.
Mustafar-like planet.
Each system and each planet will be featuring the massive level of outposts, POIs, stations, biomes, and exploration options that we've been perfecting with Stanton and Pyro, and you've been seeing in some of the other presentations this weekend. But we're adding one more level. We're also going to be adding location stories. Now, these will be short, NPC-driven missions sprinkled across our landing zones and cities that will exist outside of the main story, but will help provide an additional bit of lore and character
like the
to the location
sub-levels
that they
for
take
Area
place in.
18.
So,
is that part of that?
That's our main story. Let's talk more about the guilds that Rich mentioned. First, a quick recap. Guilds act as a governing body for clusters of professions and factions with a reputation and progression system that will offer rewards the more you work for them. And I want to call out 2 things. One, I'm not going to have time to dive into all of the missions that you're going to see on this board, but just know that every mission type is either in the 1.0 roadmap or already in production.
Okay, so when he shows the list, I'm going to want to take a quick look.
Away from the Moby Glass whenever possible. Sure, it will always be an easy way for us to get additional game content in, but we want you talking with people. So...
Ew, people are gross. I don't want to talk to people.
So to aid that, we're going to be adding
That's so cringe.
To represent the factions that you'll be working for that will help sell their personality. Now, some...
He is singing the notes I want to hear, man. This is all great.
And check in on your performance. And others, you may have to meet in person from time to time. So, let's walk through them. Here we have the first guild that Rich showed, United Resource Workers. Whether you're eager to earn credits, mining valuable resources from remote corners of the universe, sifting through detritus to try and salvage some valuable components, or even just acting as a technician, you'll find plenty to do with employers like Shubin Interstellar, United Wayfarers Club, and more. Next, you have one of the oldest unions in the UEE, the Interstellar Transport Guild. This will be the go-to place for everybody looking to make their fortune hauling and trading. Some of the factions
passenger
that
delivery,
many of you
vehicle
already work for
delivery,
now,
data
such as Link
delivery,
Family Hauling, Redwind, and FTL. And we're going to be adding something special for the daredevils out there. The Imperial Sports Federation.
Marksman looks interesting. Look at that. Star Marine, Nerf Arena.
So aside from the
target
usual
shooting, hunting,
that are both legitimate and illegitimate,
that's probably where you're going to find me doing a lot of stuff.
Mechanics to build new sports and provide an outlet for all you Murray Cup enthusiasts, cargo
if they actually integrate leaderboards well into the game,
who's the best out there.
I'd want to do racing too.
For those who dream of exploring, I'm sure we have a couple here.
Do you guys see it? There's a typo on this screen. It made it into the final cut. Do you guys see the typo? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What in the world is a carfter? That's got to be crafter, right?
We had the Academy of Sciences that was brought up yesterday in the social presentation, if you saw that. This is a science guild that will include factions like the Imperial Cartography Center, who will task you with a variety of missions to better understand our universe, such as sending you into a nebula to do deep scans, or finally seeing what's at the bottom of that planetary canyon. We're going to have a new faction.
Hunter looks fun to me too, an explorer,
who will offer missions associated with the various fauna that we're starting to get into the game. From population
actually,
control
all of these.
To harvesting specific
this whole Academy of
resources
Science
for research.
Sounds really cool to me.
Now, I don't know if we have some people who'd like to do combat, but our combat guilds were doing something a little different. Now, previous to this, these are all of our profession guilds. But for our combat guilds, they operate a little differently. See, these two are diametrically opposed to each other. So once you pledge allegiance to one, the other marks you as an enemy.
This is me, Mercenary
On
Guild.
the lawful side, we have the Mercenary Guild.
Okay, I'm going to take a quick pause because I know that this is going to be something that I'm interested in, so I kind of want to read through these. Combat pilot, scan objects, scan area, defend location, patrol, defend VIP, rescue VIP, destroy objects, kill all, kill VIP, recover items. So this is a lot of what we have already. Location mapping, scan area, scan objects, disable objects, extract objects, investigate, access data. This would all imply a big expansion of what we do right now, but this is what I do a lot.
Represent factions like Eckhart Security, the Bounty Hunters
I've done
Guild,
so many bunker
and even some
missions.
military contractors.
Across so many wipes.
You're pulling together a team of specialists to go assault a ground base, hunting down an elusive criminal, or putting together a recon run to drum up some intel. Mercenary Guild's got you covered. On the flip side, we have the Council. Now, this is a shadowy group comprised of representatives from various gangs,
and
syndicates,
very
and outlaws
similar, but
who
obviously
mandate criminal activity
illegal
throughout the
versions.
verse. You'll be able to throw in with rough and tumble gangs like the Headhunters and the Dead Saints, or work your way up to join highline criminal syndicates like the Atonis or the Drop Kings. But remember, the underworld is a dangerous place run by greed and power. So Mercenary Guild reps might not be the only people you have to worry about, as the syndicates are always looking for loyal soldiers who will hurt their competition and tip the scales of power in their favor. So as you can see, there's going to be a universe of exciting storytelling opportunities for you to undertake in 1.0. But one more thing, we're also going to revitalize our social behaviors to make the populations not only feel more alive and reactive and off chairs, but better reflect the tone and flavor of the areas that they're inhabiting. We want to see the people of Loreville slowly trudging through the streets, overburdened by the ruthless contracts, just as much as we want to see the tourists of Orison gleefully moving
We
from
want the
attraction to
Loreville
attraction.
residents to suffer.
And all of this is what's going to make Star Citizen be the experience we set out to make. A diverse universe with a rich tapestry of stories, characters, and experiences for you to live in. To talk more about how all this feeds back into player progression, I'm going to turn it back over to Rich Tyler.
So when someone's asking you what Star Citizen is,
thanks, Dave,
this is the presentation you point them to.
Thanks, Dave. Okay, so we have a main story to connect the universe. We have all the guilds and their associated professions, and we have location stories to give the world depth and life. Crucially, though, we have a new core progression in the game, guild reputation. But what about our other core progression in the game? The economy. So, as we've discussed before,
Where's Tony Z?
we'll be implementing a Star Sim-powered dynamic economy that will automatically adjust the in-game prices based on player activity.
I like to think that was like one accountant out there like, yeah!
To actually matter, though, we need to have an economy where credits flow out as well as in. This means
you're going to lose
transactions
stuff.
such as repairing, refueling, and restocking need to have value. If everything is too cheap and the money coming into the economy is too great, we'll have massive inflation. And this is where taxes and insurance come in.
Oof.
Boo.
As an American, I feel obligated to declare my own independence
We'll have two main taxes.
and make my own game
Inheritance
with no
tax as part
taxes
of Death of a Spaceman.
to
And
slowly
security
become
tax for your
corrupted
base
over the next
that will
200
cover the
years
cost of
and
planetary
become
shield tech.
overburdened by taxes again.
Insurance, on the other hand, will be split between medical insurance, which covers your hospital imprints, and probably the most important one of all, ship insurance.
Okay.
Now, as we have Death of a
They
Spaceman,
said that magic word,
we also
insurance.
need Death of a Spaceship.
What does it mean?
Losing your ship should be significant. Right now, for example, over 90% of all claims in the verse are for ships that have not been destroyed.
Yeah. You just don't want to go get it. Everybody know that's what that chuckling means.
This is where ship insurance and our new warranty mechanic comes in. First up, we'll have 3 tiers of insurance, with level 1 being chassis insurance, level 2, chassis and component insurance,
Okay.
and level 3, chassis, component, and decorations insurance.
So if you want it to be exactly the same way, you need to have that level 3 insurance.
Now,
Otherwise, you lose your
insurance by
components
itself will only pay out
and your
credits
decorations
based on the wear and age
if you
of
only
your
have
ship.
level 1.
Insurance, I think you want to listen to this bit because it's important. Insurance with a warranty, though, will give you back a new ship, plus any other equipment or decorations based on the tier of insurance you had. Okay, so this is the bit you need to listen to. All ships bought on the pledge store will come with a permanent warranty and their appropriate insurance.
Okay. That sounds like a nice balance.
This means you will always get your ships back if they're attributed to your account. Other ships, on the other hand, will require a transferable warranty, and these are rare. You'll be able to earn transferable warranties in-game, such as by completing the main story, as an example, and apply them to any of the ships you own. But there will be a cooldown for transferring it between ships, so choose wisely. Now, what about claim timers? It's another fun topic.
Big.
And getting your ship back without a claim.
Lot
we
longer.
Want claim timers to be proportional to the crafting timers.
And those are huge.
This means it's more beneficial for you to go back and get your original ship.
Stop being lazy. Bring it back to the station.
A shuttle ship, just like a courtesy car.
Oh. All right. What does the shuttle ship look like?
You'll be able to claim the shuttle at no extra cost to most locations and then fly it back to your original ship. Once back in your ship, the shuttle will automatically return home.
Return home. It enters a quantum travel and it deletes itself.
If your
is what I hope that
been
means.
Legitimately lost, though,
don't make it
then
overcomplicated.
You'll need to claim it back. And as we'll be increasing claim timers, this will mean some ships will take longer than others.
Days.
With
weeks.
starter or small ships always being readily available. And larger capital-sized ships taking a long time. So it's always better to try and get your ship back if possible. Okay, so we've talked about our 2 core progressions, but what does that mean to you as a player? Well, firstly, it means we have a framework where we can start creating cyclical gameplay loops. But what are they? Let me show you. Okay, so right now in live, if you have a prospector, you probably enjoy mining. And the reward for mining is credits and the enjoyment of the activity. But in 1.0, you might be mining for a whole different reason. And this is where cyclical gameplay loops come in. Firstly, let's add all the manufacturers and ships in.
Chart just got a lot bigger, but it's just ship brands. Okay.
I'll just give you a moment to take that in, because there's a lot.
Yep.
I actually had to ask them to take the variants out, because it didn't fit on this slide.
Fair enough.
And let's zoom all the way into the prospector, a stalwart of the mining community. But let's say I really fancy acquiring a military Mark II Hornet. Let's go on a simplified journey of how I could get one. Firstly, I know I won't be able to buy it, as it's a military ship, so I'm going to need to craft it. That means I will need the fabrication hangar blueprint. Luckily, I can earn it by doing mining missions to gain rep with the United Resource Workers, and I already have the perfect ship.
This sounds like my video. I'm really happy right now.
With blueprint in hand and some excess credits, I can now purchase a small plot of land on Stanton and build my fabrication hangar. Step 1, complete. Now I need to grab the Mark II Hornet blueprint. For this, I need mercenary rep. And more importantly, a combat ship.
Yeah.
With that in mind, I will do a few more mining contracts to earn enough credits to purchase a Mustang from the dealership. Now I can start doing combat pilot missions for the Mercenary Guild, so I can unlock the Mark II Hornet blueprint. Okay, step 2 of our simplified loop is complete. I have the Mark II blueprint, but I need the resources to craft it. So I
gotta
come
go
full
mine
circle
for
back to
stuff.
my prospector,
Gotta go get it.
But this time I'm mining for resources instead. As you can see, this closes the loop. No longer am I mining just because I like it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But now I am mining for a purpose and for multiple reasons.
This is exactly what I wanted.
For credits, for reputation, for resources, for blueprints. And
yeah, this is
ultimately
all
as a
about that
stepping
connective
stone
tissue.
to crafting my own ships to enjoy other professions. And this is just one of many loops. This is the core of Star Citizen 1.0.
I like it. I love it.
Player set goals that weave between sandbox gameplay and the soft framework we are adding.
Goals.
That give
Something to play for.
Professions and features. It's providing the framework for motivation to play the game. That's the journey, though. What about the destination? So Dave has already discussed citizenship and the main story. So let's collapse that
In-game
for now.
content. We got a viewer, Citizen Scott. This is one of the things that he focuses on a lot. What do you play towards? So hopefully if Citizen Scott is watching or watches this later, hopefully this gives him the answer
content.
he's looking for.
The content that is designed for experienced players and keeps them engaged.
Raids.
Basically everyone in this room.
Yeah. All the Space Dad nerds that have been playing for a decade already.
Firstly, we'll have open world content, including missions, group missions, and server-wide events, like we have today, but tailored to endgame players. While the sandbox element of Star Citizen will allow for large-scale battles, we also want to provide challenging instanced content that will take full advantage of not only multi-crew ships,
fleet battles,
but fleets of ships. And you kind of know how we do that, right? You saw that yesterday.
Uh-huh.
And as you progress through the guilds, you'll be able to accept high-level contracts from government agencies who will offer prototype and military blueprints as rewards. These missions will require the full coordination of multiple players and an assorted fleet of capital, support, and fighter ships. You will finally be able to become the Admiral of the Fleet.
He's just warming up.
Directing your armada from your hologlobe, which, yes, is a feature included in 1.0.
Wait. What do you say?
Admiral of the Fleet. Directing your armada from your hologlobe, which, yes, is a feature included in 1.0.
All right, fleet combat. Sweet. Pulse is like 110 right now.
Specialized on foot missions that see you enter the depths of distribution centers and municipal works in small, tight-knit squads.
Which right now we only have a small portion of what the distribution centers are supposed to be. There's still a massive, expansive underground section that we're supposed to have.
While StarSim will be the driving force in our dynamic economy, it will also track player and AI activity and dynamically spawn events based on their actions. For example, if it tracks large amounts of resources being moved from one home location to another, it will have a chance to spawn pirates to intercept. All this combined will provide just a portion of the endgame experience. And I'd love to delve deeper, but that's for another day, as we still have a lot to show. So we've discussed non-combat professions and guilds, cyclical gameplay loops, and endgame PvE content. But what about PvP? What about player versus player content?
Well, now you have,
as you know,
base warfare.
5 star systems. 3 of these being lawful in Stanton, Castra, and Terra, and 2 of them being unlawful in Pyro and Nyx. So what's the difference? Let's take a look at Stanton. Lawful systems will be a mixture of high, medium, and low security areas. Each of these areas will be monitored by law enforcement agencies.
Like Grimhex would be a low-sec area.
Would dictate the emergency response time, with high-sec areas being the fastest. Initially, this response will be measured, but over time will escalate to overwhelming force. This means if someone is attacked, if they can just hold out for a short duration, help will be on the way. Pirates will be able to disrupt this monitoring by shutting down the nearby comm arrays, but this will be highlighted in your star map, with dynamic missions being generated to bring it back online.
If you want to avoid trouble.
This is the PvP you already know and experience right now, just without security forces. But before we jump into an unlawful system, let's explore what options you have if you pirate a ship. Okay, so first up, let's discuss ownership. All ships and high-value items that you own will automatically be assigned to you. This means if someone steals your ship, you can mark it as stolen, either via an insurance claim or in your Mobi. This will then trigger a dead man switch on the stolen ship, meaning it will cease to function after a period of time. But what options does this leave as a pirate?
Yeah, because
you can still salvage it.
Now you're stuck with a paperweight.
You can tow it back to your fabrication hangar to dismantle it for resources. Or, if you have a high enough rep with the council, our criminal guild, you can get the dead man switch disabled and pay for a new title deed to become its new owner.
Okay. I like that because there's still a way to steal someone's ship, but now there's a implied progression to get to that point. So you're not going to always have your ships get stolen, but pirates have something that they can work towards in getting these new titles. So I think that that's actually really good. I think pirates would be happy with that.
If you're in a lawful system, you'll need to find a transient jump tunnel, as all major locations and POIs will have custom security that will scan you on arrival.
Yeah, a way to steal a ship, but it's more difficult to pull off.
So with that out the way,
there's more story built into it, more mechanics.
In Pyro. Unlawful systems have no laws at all, and with that comes opportunity. Pyro, as an example, has an abundance of high-quality resources and is a hotbed of criminal activity, the literal definition of high risk, high reward. With crafting now requiring resources, you're going to want to create bases to mine and extract them. This is where base raiding will become a new form of PvP, and it's founded on a combined arms ethos.
This is the theaters of war we've been waiting so long for.
And most importantly, ground shields. A localized version of the planetary shields used in lawful systems that absorb the most powerful of weaponry. No longer can you just turn up and drop a Moab.
Take that, you A2 owners. You no longer have a instant delete button.
Compared to planetary shields, is that these shields can be disabled. You will have to strategically assess each base and punch your way through its defenses on foot to eventually bring down the shield generator. Once the
this
shield
is actually
down,
like an inverse blitzkrieg that they're describing, because during World War II, Germany would send in bombers first to soften up targets, and then ground forces. This is just the reverse of that. You send your ground first, then your air.
Now, both piracy and base raiding is founded on sandbox gameplay. And again, that's the essence of Star Citizen. But we want to add more. Something where you can log on and immediately find the action and fight for a purpose.
Oh, yeah.
So first up, let's go on a history lesson. In the early 2600s, there was a fledgling corporation called SEAL that had developed a new system-wide planetary shield technology. The same technology that will provide protection for your bases today. To prove this tech, they wanted to use Nyx and Pyro systems as a testbed. With the promise of high-quality resources, SEAL lured independent miners to man the shield network in exchange for shield protection for their settlements. As a prototype, SEAL couldn't provide total coverage over all the mining settlements, and so they created the SEAL Tokens program, allowing the most industrious factions to purchase shield coverage for their work. The network consisted of multiple linked bases on the ground that then linked to several stations in orbit around each planet that then connected to the nearest relay in the shield network, which eventually linked back to the shield core, which oversaw system-wide distribution of the shield technology. Factions could then earn SEAL tokens for working on any part of the network. They could then use these tokens to buy shield coverage, but with the competition amongst factions being so intense, SEAL was only able to offer shielding to the hardest workers. Unfortunately, due to outlaw interference, SEAL eventually pulled out of Pyro and Nyx and pushed for a more automated solution in more civilized systems. So fast forward to present day, without SEAL's backing, they had to pull out and leave it as it is. And welcome
Station Warfare.
To Station Warfare.
Yeah.
With the SEAL network still in place, but lacking resources, orgs can take ownership of these structures to gain access to planetary shield tech. Which
let's go!
Make their bases invulnerable. Unfortunately, there's a catch.
You have to keep the tokens up.
And as in the good old SEAL days, the system still works via the SEAL token program. To earn tokens, you'll have to assault a location and then deposit resources to power the network. This begins with ground bases and ends at the shield core. Each structure occupied will then accrue seal tokens over time, with larger structures earning more, and at the end of each week, you must then use these tokens to purchase shield protection. With shield coverage being limited, though, the system automatically selects the orgs with the highest bid from across all shards.
Oh, wow.
Meaning for that week only, a certain number of orgs will gain access to shield protection. So this is a chance for your org to become the de facto leader of a system.
Yeah!
It means you'll be able to log on and immediately find the action and fight for your org. And finally, it's not just sandbox PvP or ganking. You are fighting for a purpose.
Yes!
So once you've won your bid,
Holy cow.
what then? Well, to talk more about that, I'd like to welcome Ian Leyland, Star Citizen's creative director, to the stage. Good luck.
Thank you. All right, hello, Citizencon.
Hello!
Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Dave. So, to continue the conversation of large-scale endgame org activities, let's go back to Pyro 3, where the ground bases were being built earlier today. This morning, we saw the small habitat being built by Luke, and then we saw Deck start to expand the base into a commercial enterprise. But eventually, we saw a massive example of an org base. But with everything Rich was talking about, with org system-wide activities, we want to give you guys the ultimate end goal. But also the thing we need to protect. And to do that, let's look up into the sky and see what it is.
More Zeus footage. What is that? Big, whatever they're going to. Zeus looks so good. Big station of some kind. Is this an org station?
Let me introduce you to player space stations.
Oh, yeah!
Finally, you can build
all
your
right
home amongst the stars. This will be the starting point for your base of operations for system-wide org activities. But why is this an end goal? Well, first of all, to construct your own space station, it's going to require
a
vast
massive
quantities
amount of resources.
and materials. And also will be a large time investment. But how do we start? Well, it all starts with the supply bay.
You're just going to be constantly feeding into this.
And the supply bay can only be constructed by the pioneer.
All right. So you need someone with a pioneer, plant down the supply bay, and then you're just going to be working forever
Once it's created,
to feed this thing.
The supply bay then handles the creation of the station itself. Now, we're in grey box development phase, so the artwork's not final, but let's go on a journey and start building our space base.
Once it's built, can it be lost? Can it be destroyed? This is basically like the, what is it? The Dyson Sphere program. This is your Dyson Sphere. What's going on? Okay. Okay, I am... Well, that connection is worse. Okay. I think we may be in the clear. It looks like we might be okay now. Okay, I'm gonna keep going under the assumption that let's under the assumption that okay, it looks like if I go to the YouTube page, everything is about the same. So I think I did things fast enough that you guys were all able to get carried over. I'm gonna keep going. Hopefully I'm not crazy. We're right in the middle of something really cool when the internet decides to go belly up. That's how it always be, right? Dang. Okay, but what I was going to point out before we lost connection is that we see that this is moving relative to the planet, so we are not having a geosynchronous orbit. This is an asynchronous orbit, which means that your station could be flying around the planet, which could be pretty cool. Orbital mechanics, to some extent, maybe a little bit.
Awesome. Awesome. So as you saw, the cargo grid of the supply bay consumes resources, and the required resources will be substantial and will need to be topped up over time.
Okay.
So this means
glad we still got it.
Encouraged to have efficient logistic networks.
That got my heart rate going.
And as Rich outlined with professions, it's ideal if your org is well-rounded in terms of roles. Even the starter player can contribute. The supply bay has automated construction zones, which are used to create the station. And unlike ground bases, many drones are used at once to create the base. Once the station is built, the supply bay then integrates into the station itself. So here we are. We've built our core station module, and it's big.
Core. But core means you can expand, right?
The station comes readily built with some core functionality. Let me talk you through it. Right on the top is the bridge, which is the command deck. This is where all further construction is going to be managed.
There you go.
From here,
further
we can
construction.
then monitor
This gets
status
really big.
of the entire station. We have access to power and water management. Power and cooling is something you'll need to consider carefully. It also is an area to set permissions for who can enter particular areas, either divided by the ranks of the org itself or open to the public. And there'll be a radar station to track the activity outside the base. And the terminals to access
other
logs
players
of
can
who has
come to
visited the
this.
station and see what they did. So let's jump back
Welcome,
in game
Moonbeam. How you
and take
doing?
a stroll through our bridge.
The other players can access this. You can have it be open to the public, so it's probably not instanced. This is going to be something that everybody will see. question still remains, can it be destroyed? Can it be taken? Can it be lost? Losing this would be a major blow to any organization. But it would also be a pretty big incentive for org warfare. You know, if we were to lead an operation against Kronzi's org, you know, and we take their base, can we actually take it? You know, that would be a pretty big operation. Is that guy sprinting with the box? Can you do that right now?
Super awesome. The back of the bridge leads to a centralized transit network. This spine...
Yeah, more elevators. Just what Star Citizen players love.
And will provide access to the various decks. Each level in the station will have a centralized lobby area. And this is your station. You'll be able to use the decorator mode, so you'll have plenty of space to theme it however you want. And speaking of having plenty of space, this space station will have a one-to-one interior layout matching the exterior. No magic elevators.
Oh no. Yes, it's a space station that orgs can own. That's the most likely conclusion, but they're presenting it as though it's a mix between, like...
Okay, let's jump back in.
Yeah, you can start this on your own, but this is more like org stuff. This is so many resources. Single player, I can't imagine they get very far. There's the Atlas, or the Atlas. Super cool. What kinds of modules will they allow for a mercenary-focused org like OJE happens to be? Yeah,
As
crafting
you can
looks
see,
super
right
cool,
at the bottom
Moonbeam.
of the central transit system
I'm super
leads
excited
to
by
the
that
lower
too.
areas. This is where you'll gain access to the engineering deck. So like bigger ships, this is where all the hands-on engineering and maintenance gameplay happens. This will serve as the beating heart of your station. Then we have the hangar deck. And as the name implies, this is where you'll gain access to your hangar network. The base station comes with a large hangar already built, along with 2 docking collars, and also empty slots for another 2 medium hangars when needed.
But
There'll
no
be a
XL
vast
hangar.
network of internal road systems, meaning you can quickly drive from one hangar to the other. No elevators needed. Okay, let's check back in.
So if you're going to want to store your reclaimer, you use the docking collar, but I would assume that there's probably a module to come where you can have a XL hangar. Proper parking lot off to the side here too, which I would kind of hope that actually comes to large hangars as well, you know, the ones that we have today. They've talked about modular expansion. Yeah, that's the big question we have right now. We don't have an answer to that just yet. Can this be taken from you? Can this be taken from your org? Another concern I have, and I want to take a brief pause for this. Engineering, I think, sounds really cool for a station like this, but my concern is how much coordination will it actually require? You know, is this something that one player is going to feel like they're getting stuck because they have to manage their org's station because no one else is picking up the slack? And what happens if your engineer doesn't do that? You know, how much functionality do you lose? Because getting players to consistently do something for the betterment of other people, that's really hard. So how much coordination is required to keep a station like this going? And how do you communicate the needs of the station to the group of players that are interested in that gameplay? You know, maybe you have 25 people in your org that all love to do engineering, but how do they know what the station needs?
All right. So your station hangar will offer some enhanced logistics.
You know, you don't want to get stuck always doing engineering too. Like, you might want to go mining. You might want to go flying.
And there'll be empty modules for open ship parking for vehicles and ships, vehicles and ground vehicles. And there'll be also exit points where you can simply drive out into your station.
Basically, like, I don't want to be the one that gets stuck doing all the work.
Upper level for the observation deck. From the observation deck, you'll have a control room. And from here, you'll have master control over the freight elevators and the vehicle elevators. This means that even before someone has landed,
what if the engineer betrays the org?
Up into the hangar and ready to be loaded up.
What if they don't just quit? They betray it. They have all that access to engineering.
About so far,
you know, like I send someone into Croncy's organization as a spy. I keep a secret Discord channel open with them for 2 years. And then I have them take over the base for me, and we come in and plunder Croncy's base.
The station comes with a predetermined interior network.
What if?
Of corridors and roads. And in this network, you'll find an array of bulkhead connectors. Bulkhead connectors will come in tiers 1 to 3, which drives the size of room you're able to build. In the interior build mode, this is where you start to expand the interior of your station. The rooms will require resource
I would pay money to see that.
To construct. And
welcome,
built,
Dorm. How you doing?
Rename each room, which will be reflected in the station's minimap. The interior of your station will have ample areas for you to expand. You can build generic empty rooms.
We're getting quite a few new people here.
With items to your
welcome, guys. Blam Smith, welcome to chat. Storm, haven't seen your name either.
Where the theme and functionality
How you doing?
Is already set for you, such as metal.
Okay, infirmary. Obviously, we knew that was going to happen. Generator, part of engineering, right? But you need obviously power.
Or infirmaries.
Mess hall,
or generator
food, rotation.
And
those
of
all
course,
make sense.
There are shops. So similar to the
I'm excited for base building too, man.
Ground base. This is on a much bigger scale. But that's just the interior.
Yeah, let's make it bigger.
Let's talk about the exterior.
Imagine if you actually turned your station into a Dyson sphere just by expanding it continuously. This is something that I've been thinking about making a video about. Massive man-made space structures.
Using build mode, you can customize your station with a variety of modules, which tailor it to specific functionality. Some modules cater towards resource collection, such as gas harvesters, while others are geared towards defense, like shields or turrets. This goes back to bridge operations, of power management, a situation
I'm hoping this is the
may
shield
arise
generator because it looks
where
like what you
power
see on the Star
priority
Destroyer.
is needed.
Super cool.
Then we have major hardpoints. The core
Well,
station module.
Odd Job
comes with
Entertainment
2
is always recruiting
hardpoint
for new
connectors.
members.
Major hardpoints are used to connect substantial
If you would
wing
like
additions
to join
your
an
station.
org,
The
I
first
happen to
example,
know the guy in charge. He'll probably let you in. Oh yeah, that looks cool.
Awesome, thank you. Awesome. The first
But
example
CIG, you really
is
need
the
to think.
cargo wing.
Eventually, these players
The
are going to
cargo
push
wing
these
will
things so
dramatically
big, the
increase
curvature of the
your
planet is going to be a
inventory capacity.
consideration.
So this is ideal
So
for
I hope
orgs
that you're planning for
who are
that ahead
specializing
of
in
time.
holding.
I want to
Then we
make
have the
my Dyson
refinery wing.
sphere.
So you'll be able to refine resources on a vast scale. As it's in space,
cool.
it's much more convenient than traveling to a ground base. Now, a player could buy resources from your
And
cargo wing.
This
and
is
then
what
refine
you'd
it
want a Hull
directly
C for.
in the
you
refinery
know?
wing.
Hull C, you can't take it down to Earth.
And finally, we have the hangar
Your
wing.
Hull D and your Hull E.
So, all right. So, the bigger your fleet, the more hangars you'll want. There'll be a variety of hangar sizes as well as docking collars to help organize your fleet's deployment. All major hardpoint wings are connected via struts, and like the rest of the station, the struts are also internally traversable. Okay, so let's recap on the exterior expansion wings. Minor hardpoints give us options on how to collect resources or provide automated defenses for your base. Major hardpoints gives us options on how you can specialize your base. Let's jump back in game and see how our base is getting on.
I mean, eventually someone's going to want to try and add another core at the end of another large strut. Well, and the way that they've described it, you start with the ground base and then you build up to having your space base, right? Yeah, I would think you'd want to maintain both. Keep your space station operational. This is a different hangar module than what they just showed, though. That looks like your XL hangar.
All right. Yes, Pedro has been working with us on this as well, so thank you. Looking cool. Customization is just as important as expansion. Similar to ground bases, you'll be able to earn tints for your station, and you'll be able to apply decals for your org levels.
We're going to have to start working on a full suite of OJE themed decals and skins.
Outside
I'm really excited for
of
that.
minor and major hardpoints, your station will come with 2 unique base expansion points. One on the top side behind the bridge, and one on the underside. The top side will be for the crow's nest. Now, all the other modules built so far have very specific functionality, but I'll admit this is for the org members out there who want the ultimate in personal space.
It looks very reminiscent of the tower for the Emperor's throne room on the Death Star. It is pretty cool. Yes, Emperor McCool. There you go. I'll be sure to put that in the thumbnail. In my big crow's nest with my big chair.
All right.
Forget the Messers and all those other people. It's Emperor McCool. Emperor Oddjob.
So I'm going to be flying around the verse, and I want personal invitations to see what you've done in those rooms, okay? Super cool. I can't wait to see what you do with it. Now let's talk about the underside. This is going to be for the flight deck, which also comes with an additional 3 major hardpoints. The flight deck is perfect for your rapid reaction forces. It's ideal for fighters, but big enough to fit most ships. It's the perfect home for your station's defensive air wing. And just like the hangars, there'll be an observation deck which can override freight elevators, making rearming quicker and easier during operations. So an org with a
base goes under red alert
crew can be substantially more efficient than others. Now, this one's my favorite. Let's take a look.
Hear that little bit of snare drum? Pedro's cooking again. Got that military beat going. That's super cool. Imagine just having all your orgs, fighters hanging out there.
All right.
That's dope.
There's a few little
Yeah,
Easter
I'm gonna
eggs
have
in
to
that
write
video.
a rallying
But
war cry.
why do you need a flight deck for your rapid defenses force?
Because other orgs are gonna come
if
at
you
you.
built your super awesome station in a super lawless system,
You're gonna lose. You can lose it, man.
now
Here
you're
we
the
go.
potential
Org
targets
warfare.
for others. Everyone will have their eyes on your resources and wonder what gear you've got in your inventories. And let's say we didn't win the station warfare bid that Rich mentioned. Let's take a look at the inevitable.
Mongrel Squad is very happy right now. That's bad news bears, man. You know, speaking of Mongrel Squad, I think it's going to be really tough for pirate organizations to maintain stations to the same level, because they'll be making themselves an enemy of most other organizations. So, I mean, there's some really interesting dynamics that all of this implies. Thou shalt not touch my Pico. I love how they play into the whole Pico meme thing. We've got gold Picos, we got shiny Picos, we got edgelord Picos.
Is your station a staging area for offensive campaigns? It's also a defensive fortress. The exterior of the station itself can take quite a beating. It's going to be very hard to damage. So the goal of attackers instead will be to punch a hole through the defenses and get inside. The optimal way to do this will be to infiltrate through the flight deck or EVA hatches and work your way up. Once inside...
Imagine you just get beamed by a Nova tank.
Once inside, and you've cleared out a hangar, you may also want to consider airlifting in a tank or two to clear some corridors. Raiders will have to hack freight elevators or bulkheads.
Oh, I just noticed more gold guns
to gain
too.
Access. And of course,
and it's
bring
literally a pile of
gold
golden
to start
hadronite.
hauling out the loot. Gaining control of the bridge will allow access to storage, which would otherwise be unhackable. So, as a defender, there are a variety of automated defenses you're able to install internally within the station, such as blast doors, which seal shut, systems to be breached, and a range of turrets like anti-vehicle or anti-personnel.
Have you guys seen that game? I think it's called Meet Your Maker,
and give time for
where it's all about
to
making bases as a challenge for other players to infiltrate.
This is one of the end game.
This looks really cool,
for dedicated
but if the defense locations always end up being the same, might be pretty tough to make this a continuous
challenge. The station
challenge.
can be customized both in the interior and the exterior, meaning you can tailor it to your own requirements. And it's your very own home amongst the stars.
But wait, there's more. All right.
But wait. There's one more unique module
Another core.
we can build.
Another core.
And that is the dry dock.
Dry dock, okay. Not another core necessarily, but it looks kind of circular.
This unique slot will
Maybe
be
it has more major points.
It has its very own dedicated observation room with crafting stations and has a transit tram which runs along the inside of the arms, leading to the docking collars where your ship will be constructed. So, the only question still remains.
What are you going to make there?
What sizes of ship?
Javelins.
Let's take a look.
This is how you get your javelins, man. They've always talked about orgs being able to eventually build javelins. Well, no. Or was it the bangle? You could, like, craft a bangle, I think. Because you can buy javelins.
I'll just watch the end of the show.
I think this is how you get your bangles. Yep.
That's great.
Y'all saw that bridge?
I want to see the reaction.
Woo! Yeah! This is how we get our bangles, man.
Yes.
The ultimate in speak softly and carry a big stick. This is your big stick. And I mean, this gives you an idea as to how big these stations really are. The Bengal is massive, and it looks small right now. These are more cores. These are more. This is our array. Woo! Woo-hoo! This is what we were talking about. It just keeps going. Dyson Spheres confirmed. You heard it here first.
We're talking multiple stations linking and dry docks to craft your very own capital ships.
Yeah.
The ultimate end
This
goal
is
for any org.
Scale on a unreal scale.
So let's take a step back. At the beginning of
like
this
it's
presentation,
beyond words.
I mentioned we had 3 types of players and 1 universe. And hopefully you can see we have purposeful gameplay catering to each type of player. But that wasn't the only goal. It was to build a game that connected all 3 together cohesively. And this is where you come in. The community, the lifeblood of Star Citizen. Whether you're a PvE player delving for unique crafting blueprints, a non-combat player mining for high-quality resources or building a base with your friends, or a PvP player fighting for your org in station warfare to protect your base, each one of you supports each other. You need the blueprints to craft, you need the resources to make them, and you need the equipment and protection to be safe. This is what Star Citizen is. It's a universe that caters to all players. Now, I could probably go on for another 10 hours deep diving into each system.
Let's go! Let's get going!
But I do Jared out of a job, and he needs future ISCs and SC Lives and Citizencons. Today was to reaffirm what type of game we are making. And I hope you continue to come with us on this journey as we march towards Star Citizen 1.0. Thank you, Citizencon, and can we welcome Chris Roberts? No? No?
1 second.
Jared? Okay. So Chris is not ready yet. So we're gonna ad-lib a bit.
I'm here.
Oh, well, LTI is warranty and insurance. That's what you're gonna get.
I have it on my thing on there.
Oh, here we go.
Welcome, Chris Roberts.
Yeah, ahead of schedule. 1:30.
That intro was so scuffed.
That's right.
Well, then they're going to scroll it. Well, thanks, Rich. Rich, Dave, and Ian. I hope you guys and girls loved what you saw there. It's having a definitive line in the sand is incredibly empowering for the whole team, and I think for all of you guys in the community.
We finally know what we're going to get.
Presentation, we will never stop growing Star Citizen, even past 1.0. And part of what makes Star Citizen so special is the symbiotic relationship between you guys, the community, and us, the developers. And I know I can be accused of feature creep, but you only need to look at Spectrum, Reddit, and Discord to see countless great ideas and suggestions that come from people playing a live alpha and seeing areas that the game can grow and improve. And
Fair enough.
we
Very
take these
meta.
on board
Very
because
aware.
it'll make the game better. And in some ways, while you could say Star Citizen is a Chris Roberts game, I would say it's all our game. The developers, the
it's
community,
all of our
building
fault.
the game, we're all building this dream game together. And I think that's what makes it special. I think that's why you guys and girls have been here for as long as you have and have supported us through thick and thin, because we're doing something together. And I don't think in almost any other game you have the opportunity to be involved at that level and have your voices heard and impact what we do. Because, you know, occasionally we'll do things and you guys are like, no, that sucks. And we're like, yeah, you're right, we'll change it. And also, like I said, we definitely read and look and hear all the stuff that you write. Some of it may not be so nice, but a lot of it is really great. And
be careful with your mean comments.
We're just
Chris
trying
takes
to
it
build
personally.
This amazing universe for us all to live in together. So, what defining 1.0 does, though, for us is give us a finish line in terms of feature and content we are committed to delivering for when your life in the verse becomes truly persistent, your gameplay to progress your reputation, the money you earn, the material possessions you collect and earn will persist even as we deliver more content and features. And I think that's incredibly important for really finally being able to fully commit and not just go, okay, well, I'll play for a while until the next patch comes out. And it's also a market for the game to be more stable, well optimized, and incredibly friendly for new players, as well as experienced ones, which I think all you guys are. But that'll only be the start of our journey together, because the vision of Star Citizen is a game that has no sunset, one that will continually grow with new content and features. We'll always make sure we're on the cutting edge of new technology. We'll never be outdated. I know I occasionally see, oh, in so many years, you guys will be out of date. But as you can see by our constant presentations, we're always looking to make whatever we can do, whether it's the visuals, the audio, various ways to make the gameplay better. That's something we will always be working on. So we'll always keep the game at the bleeding edge of graphics, sound, physics, and yes, we'll support VR, and we actually have some of that in the background we're doing. Now we get stuff.
All right, very nice. Very nice.
So I hope you've enjoyed this year's Citizencon. We demoed a small prologue that opens Squadron 42.
RSI-themed headset
live,
win.
With a few crashes to prove it. As I said, there's a really great full playthrough, no crashes, that Rich did immediately afterward that's up on YouTube. And we've given a date to finally deliver the spiritual successor to Wing Commander that the team and I feel comfortable in hitting. We've defined what Star Citizen 1.0 will be and shown features such as base building and monster hunting that we'll be delivering the next 12 to 18 months. 4.0 and server meshing.
That's a very big difference than the 12 months or so. But 18 months is that's still kind of a hard cap.
Pyro is coming at the end of this year. We're already in Evercati on 4.0. I think some people have been streaming some stuff. And in coming weeks, we'll continually stabilize and improve the experience as it moves into PTU and then goes to live. With this, we will have delivered the majority of what we showed last year at Citizencon, with the remaining features coming early next year. And there are over 1,000 people committed, 1,000 people at CAG committed to bringing you all this and more. We love what we do, and we're inspired by your passion and support. We know that we are truly lucky to have such a strong community that shares the passion and dreams we do. You allow us a privilege that almost no other developer has, the ability to dream and reach for the stars. And I truly mean that, because as a developer, it's very unusual to be able to build a game of the ambition that Star Citizen is and Squadron 42 is. And that's all down to you guys and girls. So thank you very, very much. And then over this past year, an incredibly passionate group of people have worked behind the scenes to bring this weekend's event to life. And I want to take a moment to thank Leah and Ed, Tyler, Jared, Kat, and so many others who poured their hearts into making this weekend special for all of you. And a huge thanks goes out to our presenters and teams supporting them, whether they're here with us today or watching from one of our other studios around the world. In the words of Admiral Bishop, I'm proud to stand with our teams and everyone that put this show together. And all of the CAG staff working on the show floor, your hard work ensures everything runs smooth and keeps the energy alive throughout the event. And finally, a heartfelt thanks to the community members who volunteered their time to run this year's show. None of this would be possible without their dedication and support. I thank all of you very, very much. And many of us in the team are going to, myself included, are going to head down the road to the Factory International for the Enter the Atmosphere event that Amos is doing. So I hope a fair number of you will manage to make it over there. There'll be a whole night of racing and esports, a bonus developer panel with Yogi Klatt and Richard Towler, which I think are, as always, they're good panels. And with that, Citizen 2954 comes to a close. I hope you enjoyed what you saw, made new friends, reunited with old ones, and marveled at the creativity on display at the community booth, which was pretty awesome to see. And Citizencon always underlines what makes Star Citizen special. So that's you. You guys here coming together, supporting, watching, giving us, the team, the energy to make this game. So thank you. And we'll see you in the booth.
All right. And that's it. That is the end of day 2. There is a lot there. Holy cow. I think gameplay-wise, this was a lot more rich in answering the question, what are you going to do in Star Citizen? Just pause that. Again, leaning on this guy. Thank you for coming through and doing all these timestamps. I kind of want to just run through the titles here. We talked about base building and crafting. 2 massive implications. Reconcepted the Pioneer. Builds into that. Vehicle roadmap. Got some cool things to look forward to. They did not talk about my Galaxy, which makes me kind of sad. Looks like the Ironclad is coming out before the Galaxy. I might be a little salty about that. And actually defining what 1.0 is going to be. And there is a lot of stuff built into that. We're going to get an overarching story. We're going to get sub-stories, location-based stories. There is going to be a whole host of curated content that players will be able to interact with. Brief look at Terra, and looks really cool. New biomes that we haven't seen before, new planets to explore, new environments to interact with. Talked a little bit about economy, only that part was only very brief, right? So a solid explanation for what ship insurance is actually going to be. And they I mean, if you've been watching Star Citizen, a lot of creators have been talking about this, but you need to have ways to drain resources out of your universe so that people have a reason to keep producing them. So that goes into this a lot. Insurance, depending on your tier, will either protect just the chassis and the components, or chassis, components, and decorations. So it's going to get a lot tougher to just get the same repeat ship each time. And then they're really going to want to make it so that you go back to your ship and bring it into the station. So no more just leaving it out there because you're lazy. Got to clean up. And that goes a big way to clean up a lot of the ships that are stranded out in the verse today. Making it so that players actually have to clean up after themselves, else they basically lose access to their ship for at least a period of time. Yeah, this is going to cut down on space trash a lot. Yeah, they didn't talk about the Galaxy build module at all. Last year, they did talk about how it would be able to build up to large structures. So I guess I would still go with that. You'll need the Pioneer to be able to make the XL and the supply bay. But, I mean, Galaxy should be able to do everything that we saw the Star Lancer doing. We've got a lot coming in the way of in-game content. I mean, it goes from you craft your player base to you craft your org base. Now you have your org space station. You have multiple space stations connected together. Those have different modules. Now you have your org bangle that you're working on together. I mean, it just keeps going bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It is wild. There's a lot of warfare intended between orgs on that front. I mean, there's just so much. There is so much in the way of short, medium, and long-term gameplay. I think players should overall be very happy with the plans they laid out. I'm immediately excited for the org social features coming in. I hope that that's probably I'm hoping that that's a priority. That sounds in my mind like one of the things that will probably come first, because it's mostly menus and doesn't require much in the way of like assets and physicalized integrations. It's mostly UI and stuff. And so I would hope that we see that shortly. And, you know, if we go back to a video I made talking about features that orgs need to have proper gameplay, I mean, they kind of hit the nail on the head for every single point I would have mentioned. The org bases, that also gives you a way to share ships between each other. The instance hangars are nice on an individual level, but then it's still somewhat difficult to be able to share that forever with someone. But now if you plant your ship down in the flight deck of the org base, now everybody has access to it, right? They talked a lot about org ranks, which is really good. Different levels of permissions based on those ranks. Let's see. Let's put a poll out in chat. I guess not a poll, but what was your favorite part of day 2? For me, I would say it's probably so tough to pick, actually. It's definitely not the ships, because I don't care too much about getting new ships. My favorite part of today would probably be crafting. I feel like that'll have the most immediate impact on what we do outside of the org gameplay, the org integration. Crafting is going to be so big, and it's built into everything. For me, it was being able to steal ships and get the tags changed. For my whole family, it's crafting and being able to build a small farm. Yeah. I mean, there's so much that they talked about. There's so much to look forward to. I am kind of over the moon right now. Let's see. Let me hop into OBS. Have to, of course, give a thanks to our channel members. Orbital Bombardiers and above get a special mention in every one of my streams and videos that go up on the channel. They also get exclusive access to content on the members paywall. And they support the channel. So thank you, John Best and the Prime. Those are currently our only 2 Orbital Bombardiers. And as you can see, there's plenty of space. Outside of that, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Do all the YouTube things so that I can continue making content like this. I make this for you guys. I have a lot of fun interacting with you guys and sharing my thoughts and ideas, and there's been a lot to go over. This has been a really rewarding weekend. But I think probably later today I'll hop on and play a bit of 3.24.2 that came out. Probably not going to be streaming on that, but if you join the Discord, you'll be able to hop in and play with me. And I'll probably have to also work on getting another recap video for day 2 coming out. So hopefully I'll be able to get all of that done today. But other than that, like, share, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. Let me know what you think. And until next time, this is Odd Job Entertainment signing off.